I have a nice quote here. Everything goes to shit when humans are concerned.
And the first thing that goes out over my stream.
Likewise.
Didn't go out over my stream because I haven't unmuted you guys yet.
I had.
Yes, just that second.
Didn't go hello, out over people. My stream because I haven't unmuted. Oh, hello. Why can I hear?
I had.
Yes,
I can hear
just
the
that
stream
second.
coming from somewhere. Hello, people. Oh, hello. Why can I hear?
I had.
Well, I hope the stream's
I know
good.
why I can hear
Just
the
that
stream.
second.
So that's why, because I completely forgot I'd left the dashboard open.
That would do.
Okay, so yeah, that was entirely my cock-up.
Yep. Sorry, that was a bit enthusiastic,
So,
actually, that yes.
Try this again without the weird duplicate. Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of Dark Flowers, the Coriolis quick start scenario really publishing or whoever they are. I am your games master for today, Fishy, and with me playing we have got Nightbites,
Hello there.
Gratica,
Hello.
and Mechiador.
Present.
Yay.
So,
Present and occasionally correct.
quick previously on. In the last episode, our heroes were given a message, a mission via a communications message while they were flying through the Davern system, and they were requested to find a missing ship, a ship belonging to the Foundation, which is one of the major factions of the setting, and they were looking for the ship and a researcher on board it. I didn't mention last time, but the researcher's name is Siab Dahojaba. That's in the story note that I've shared with you all if you want to see how on earth that's spelled, because it's probably not said how it's said.
Story notes, is it...
It's got 2 sections that will have text in. Story just has the job, which is the brief description of what this job is, and notes has a whole bunch of information about the setting and the game system that I've transcribed from the PDFs, so that you can actually know what you're doing.
The job, that's the one we're after.
Travelling to the coordinates that they were given, where the ship was last seen, they discovered not the ship at first, but a space station, which did not appear on any of their charts. Investigating the station, they discovered that the ship they were looking for was in fact docked with it, and that the exterior of the station was partially covered with some sort of organic growth. Upon reaching the station, they opted not to dock with it for fear that whatever it was would damage their own ship. So they instead headed across in spacesuits. And upon entering the airlock, they discovered that the organic growth was also inside and is some sort of plant life, vines and leaves, growing all over the floor of the corridors and stretching slightly up the walls to the side, but not growing right the way up. They didn't really do much else apart from analysing it and being very paranoid and trying not to walk on it, with the result that
I ended up
Knight's
stamping.
character Farouk was attempting to audition for the next Olympics by trying to reach another room using handholds on the ceiling rather than walking on the vines.
I'll have you know I was going for Ninja Warrior.
I was thinking Crystal Maze, but you know.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
We noticed.
So about the last thing that happened really was that he utterly failed to do this. Fell off the ceiling, landed on the plants, which failed utterly to animate and eat him.
But I did apologise to them anyway.
And he did find that the door that he'd headed for turned out to be a storage locker, in which they managed to find some additional oxygen tanks. Useful, since at the moment I think everybody is still using their internal air supply.
Yes.
We are indeed.
We have not breathed station air.
Yeah, so let's just turn on to the spacesuit breathing sound effects for good measure.
I believe the term spores have come up, and we
it has been
bottled out.
discussed. Yes, it has been discussed.
Yeah, and we decided we wanted nothing to do with that.
The other thing
Yes.
that you identified from your new location was that there was a sign just outside the airlock door which pointed towards the living quarters in one direction and the laboratory section in the other.
Oh, yes.
Mm.
Because that's
So
going to
we
be
left
safe.
you deciding which direction you wanted to go and how on earth you were going to get there without walking on all these plants.
Now Farouk has walked on those plants, I think, to be honest with you...
The idea of
then-
not walking on them now is somewhat moot.
Yes.
Can we try setting them on fire?
You can try, but as a rule, it's not considered wise to set fire to things in the same place that you are.
Or indeed with oxygen tanks nearby.
Yes.
Well, yeah, there's that.
That's a priority.
Or indeed fuel for the manoeuvring jets that we're using.
Yeah.
Although if you
Well,
want to
that's
build a
mainly
bomb,
oxygen anyway.
yeah, if you want to build
some
a
other
bomb,
inert
we've
gas.
got the tools to do it.
Did you just describe oxygen as an inert gas?
No, I said some other inert gas.
Oh, not some other inert gas.
missed the
because
comma.
Yeah, because I hate to have to tell you this, oxygen isn't.
Oxygen is so
Oxygen
not an
is
inert
definitely
gas.
not inert.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that hydrogen blows up. It doesn't. Oxygen blows up. Hydrogen helps it.
Yes. Hydrogen helps quite a lot.
Glad to know you all built bombs in the past.
Hey,
Actually, it's so safe.
Sadly,
one-
with tabletop role players, that involves a certain amount of research and investigation into such things.
I actually
Several
learned that.
countries away.
I actually learned that from David Attenborough. I think it was Life on Earth we got shown at school, where they pointed out that the atmosphere of Earth in whichever era it was, Cretaceous I think, was something like 80% high explosive, and then when everybody went, miss, it's oxygen. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think it was about 8.
So, feel free to discuss among yourselves
Right.
what your plans are. You've got communications in your suits, so you don't even need to shout back down the corridor.
No. Okay. We need to know what this stuff is.
The
And,
plot. What more do we need to know?
well, quite like to know, given that somebody appears to have been eaten by it, whether this was something that simply happened over an extreme length of time, or whether this is something that the plant encouraged, by wrap and implant and spores and
So
death.
how do we? What is your basis of the summary that the plant ate someone?
Somebody's suit, including relevant body parts, I believe, is intertwined with various parts of these vines.
Okay, you have found so far a helmet which was in the airlock and had no skull in it, but did have a little bit of biomass.
Yeah. Yes,
And
that's
you
a
also
horrible
have
term.
now found a glove
Which did.
in
had
the
some
plant
finger bones
in
in
the corridor. That did indeed. That was full of little bones, the kind of little bones that might say make up a hand.
Yes, finger bobs.
But none of that was entwined in the.
It was
Fine.
inside the leaves, but it was everything. If there's anything on the floor here, it's inside the plant because the plant has grown across the entire floor of the corridor.
See, surely, if the plant was feeding on the body, there would be something inside the glove to make sure that it sucked out every last
Yeah,
vestige of nutrient.
The plant hadn't grown inside the glove, so
Well,
Not
given
making-
how our bodies liquefy when we die and lie around for a bit, maybe you have ever had it happen in a refrigerator of yours.
Oh god, flashback.
In this case, once the parts did liquefy, I think the plant feeding on it wouldn't be that
It was still
unusual.
to get at the bits.
But I don't think I didn't see teeth on the wines, so it didn't bite little chunks out of it and digested it slowly. Nah.
Can I just say that I could have gone a long and happy time without hearing the liquefied body parts line.
I've seen enough CSI to know that body soup exists.
Yes.
that mainly happens if you get decomp in an enclosed space.
Yeah.
And this is quite a wide open space.
It was, anyway.
Although I have to
However,
finish
if
the
you
salad
find
story
any
one time.
still intact spacesuits anywhere on here, don't open them.
Poke them first and just see if they squelch.
Put a hole in it, see what.
It occurs to me that that is basically what each of you is wearing. You are wearing the equipment required to turn you into bodysuit.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
Thanks.
so much. Because I wasn't disturbed yet, and yet.
Never come across. Just occurs to me that I've never come across that in an RPG. Whenever you find somebody dead in a vacuum suit, they're always just skeletal or what have you. Nobody's ever actually said, "Well, hang on, this is a completely enclosed space." So
To be fair,
bodysuit.
the Vashta Nevada do eat the soft tissue, so that's their excuse.
Yeah, but I've seen vac suits with skeletons in it.
Yeah.
Far more.
But you're right. You are right indeed.
But also, once the temperature drops below a certain point, there won't be any decomposition happening because everything that causes decomposition will be at that temperature.
Yeah.
So you'll get
Mummification is the other way you tend to find bodies in space.
which is what you'd expect in deep space.
That's reasonable.
I can see my expression on the camera. I don't think it looks terribly happy, to be honest.
You can tell that both Fishy and I have explored the possibilities of what happens to a dead body in space to probably too much of a degree.
I have. I just.
Okay, so we're sure that we're not sure how these people actually died.
Well, you
We're
don't
on-
know if this person actually died. You only know that they lost a hand, technically.
And a head.
You don't know, though. You didn't find a head inside the
No.
helmet.
They
Oh,
took
oh,
their
no, where's the
helmets.
finger
We
bones?
didn't find the skull, did we?
No.
No.
I thought we found the skull.
The biomass. There was a small amount of biomass inside the helmet, and that proved that it was the plant upon analysis.
Okay. The plant
Let's get back to the
may
rock.
have come
I
in.
just want to clarify something quickly.
Okay.
That it's not something I got wrong. It's something the scenario, I think, has got wrong.
Okay.
So I'm going to make an executive decision and retcon something I've lost.
Okay.
Okay.
It may be a translation issue, I'm not sure, but rereading through the scenario, the descriptions of the rate at which the station is spinning don't match up with the timing given in the initial description, which has it spinning at, I think is every 2 minutes, I said it was
Yeah, I
spinning.
think so.
That's way too fast to match any descriptions given elsewhere in the scenario. So I am going to make an executive decision and change that, and I'm going to give it a 20-minute rotation time.
Okay.
We've got artificial gravity anyway, so the gravity isn't coming from that.
But it
there
does
are
make
certain-
docking and movements.
certain
a bit
features
easier.
such as, where is the ship in relation to you? How much is it having to move to maintain effectively a geostationary orbit or a station stationary orbit? Things like that. I think it's important to know these things. 2 minutes is really fast.
It is quite quick.
Yeah, that's
And
quite quick.
doesn't match the rest of the description at all. So
Oh,
that's a quick retcon that I am going to make.
not a problem.
I will also clarify, since I was asked before we went live, yes, the picture of the station that you have access to and which the stream is seeing
Yep.
is indeed a view from one side of it from space. The upper right-hand portion is the section that shows signs of explosive damage and is open to space in many places.
Okay.
There's a biodome on the top, the dome-like bit, and there's a rectangle outlined in white running down just off center, roughly in the middle, and that is a large sensor array which sticks out towards our point of view.
Okay.
So you will have gone past that on your way in, because the Nazalis will be beyond that, obviously, and that's how far you've had to jet in to reach the thing. Further questions can be asked as they come to people. but
Okay.
Those are pieces of information that I know are possibly.
Okay. Are we working on the assumption that the ship we're looking for brought this plant to the station, or do we think they hit the station and encountered the plant?
We have no way of knowing.
Right.
don't really know.
This is the other reason that I'd like to go to the lab, because I think any records on the progress of this plant and anything unusual in the environment is going to be in the lab.
Based purely on the timing of when the ship went missing, for the plant to have grown over the station the way it has in the amount of time since that happened, it would be really fast growing.
And we haven't seen anything to that degree, especially given that the evidence that we've seen around the bodies has indicated decades rather than months.
Yeah. The
So-
station, all the indications you've seen from the station so far is that it could have been here as much as a century.
It is old tech.
It is old tech.
Mm-hmm.
The language on board is language that you can understand, but it's all a bit outdated.
Archaicisms.
Yeah, well, what little you have seen of any such things anyway. And the technology, certainly all the designs on the technology is... When I say outdated, that's not as good a description as old. In some cases, this technology is more advanced than what you have now.
But
Which, if it
different.
dates back to before or during the Portal Wars, would make sense.
Okay.
Because after the Portal Wars, the Third Horizon did go downhill somewhat until the arrival of the Zenith.
Right. Okay,
So
so
yes, I think going to scientific is probably our best bet.
it's where records are going to be, I think.
Either there, or if we can get access to the commander's log,
Yeah.
because that will have that should have everything.
Yeah. Ideally, we want both.
Agreed.
But splitting the party does not strike me as a useful use of our time.
No, I think we can. Although we'll cover less ground in less time, we'll have more of a chance of understanding what's going on if we stick together.
Okay. In that case, we know the direction to the laboratory, don't we? Fish.
It was signposted.
Yes,
It was
from the point of view of
signposted.
the people in the airlock, it is to the left.
Okay, so single file. Try and walk in each other's footprints so we disturb the vines as little as possible. I'm less concerned about leaping and triffiding at us than I am about disturbing anything like spores, fruiting bodies, anything like that.
I'll take it as to mean we don't want anything exploding at us.
Ideally. I mean, we
And
are
agree with
suited,
you.
but I'd like as little as possible in this atmospheric cycling.
There are some supplies here that I would like to bring with us. We've got some air here.
Always useful.
Fish, did you say there was some fuel as well, or was it just the air?
I should really have made a note of that.
I think you
I'll
said
say
there
there
was
was
fuel.
some fuel here, because I can't remember what I said last time without going
Yeah.
back and looking.
I vaguely remember
I'll
a
say there
comment
was.
somewhere about refueling my boots because they ran out of fuel, which is why I landed on the plant.
They ran out.
But I can't remember whether we carried fuel with us or whether there was fuel there.
I think I said there was fuel there.
I
Right.
believe you did.
So I've got
Yeah,
I've got
we
two,
think too.
I've got 2 air canisters and some fuel for the manoeuvring jets.
Yeah.
So I shall pick up what I've got and lug it towards you, but it'd be easier if we could spread the load between us.
Well, you are on route of our
You are
route,
in the
so-
direction that you've decided to go. So
So we
you
just
can just stay
pick
with
you
her
up.
until they reach you.
In which
Yep.
case, as you come past the door, I shall give you each a canister.
Thank you. I've got strength too. I think
And
I can
remember,
manage one
just
small.
hold your canister in one hand and hold your partner with hand with the other hand.
Little
No splitting
fingers. Little fingers.
Also, Zainab goes in front of me.
I think
Zainab-
Zainab needs to take point because she knows what she's looking for.
Yep.
Does she?
Yes,
Yeah.
you are now plant girl officially.
Thanks.
Yep.
Also, technically captain. Huh!
Yep.
Also
Which
technically,
translates as kill those guys. I'm going to hide over here.
Kill those guys, would you?
Yes. I like that film. I need it on DVD. Right. Okay. In that case, yeah, we'll split off the fuel and O2 and head down the corridor carefully. As I said, I'm trying to. I would suggest we keep our paces, walking in each other's footprints,
Yeah.
and I'll try and pick my way through the vines so I'm treading as little as possible on them.
Walk without rhythm and you won't attract the triffids.
Works for me.
So I was listening to Tamer Land earlier.
going to have
Fair enough. I was reading Day of the Triffids last week.
spacesuit back on, changing that sound setting. Turns it off. So, the corridor that you are heading along, I did describe this before, but I'll do it for you again. It is an octagonally shaped corridor, and it stretches off into darkness because the strip lighting in the ceiling is not on. There are some emergency lights here and there, and you've got the lights from your suits.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, you can't see very far. It's going almost straight in this direction. It curves very slightly, which you assume is to do with the layout of rooms inside and or the shape of the station. But it is going very much in that direction. And it's pretty much right up against the exterior of the station. There's room for a room to your left as you're walking along it, which would be roughly the same size as the airlock in terms of depth, and then you would hit the outer skin of the station.
Okay.
So either it's got a really thick skin, or there's some way into those areas and you just haven't passed another door.
Correct me if I'm wrong, we're headed basically, looking at the external map of the station, we're headed basically under the equals sign, under the biodome, aren't we?
Yes, you are headed out towards that sort of spur that sticks out.
Yeah. It's, what do you call two dashes under each other? Right, query, in that case, what would we expect the curvature to be given the curvature of the station leading out to that spur?
Probably not far off what it actually is.
Okay.
It doesn't seem unreasonable for what
So,
it might be curving a little bit more. If so, that's probably because it's bringing you in towards the centre of the station rather than having a sharp turn in at some point.
okay. Right.
Nevertheless, after a relatively small amount of time, it does hit a T-junction. You have the option at this point of carrying on as you are,
Right.
or turning right and heading in more towards the centre of the station. You wouldn't be doubling back on yourself, you would just be moving in from the edge of the station to the centre and then still, assuming that you could get another turn off, heading towards where the laboratory is.
Yeah, do we have any signage or any helpfully painted lines on the floor?
Well, if there were helpfully painted lines on the floor, they're unfortunately covered
Under
in
the vines, yeah.
leaves, and you can't see them.
I was hoping you wouldn't think of that, but never mind.
I was hoping they'd be on the walls, to be honest.
Yeah. You just want to walk
There
up
is-
to it, touch it, and ask where the
There is a
holodeck
faded panel on the corner here as you reach the T-junction, but unfortunately it's no longer possible to read what was written on it.
Okay.
Because it's covered in foliage or because it's worn away?
Because it's worn away.
Any chance I can deploy my archaeological skills to work out the sort of timing that natural atmospheric erosion in this station atmosphere would take to do that to a piece of metal or plastic, whichever?
Yeah, well, you do have the right kind of skills, so it seems very unreasonable to you that in an empty station this fading would occur. Either it's been done by maybe the plant, but at the moment the plant doesn't reach anything like that height.
No.
Or possibly it was faded even before when the station was in use and it's simply not replaced.
That doesn't bode well for the repair and maintenance procedures, does it?
Which in
It
turn
mentioned
doesn't
the
bode
big
well for
holes
them.
open to space in the other direction, right?
To be fair, yes, the big holes open to space in the other direction had not escaped my notice. Didn't think they were part of the day-to-day thing. I very much doubt we'll get over towards those big holes and find nice yellow strips with hazard. Cuidado.
Possibly
yes,
not.
I do not cross.
Yes. Slip and trip, and the wonderful picture of somebody floating into space.
Now I have to create that sign. Preferably on a t-shirt.
Yes. But
I
yeah.
still need a t-shirt for TwitchCon. I have to hit you up for ideas on that later. Shahad, if we... It's not Shahad I'm talking to, it's Zainab.
Okay. Zainab.
Sorry, wrong
Yep.
name. Zainab, if we turn right, we'll be heading more towards the centre of the station. Ultimately, whilst it would be good to know what happened here, our main goal is to get across to the other side and find the guy we're looking for, who is most likely to be either in science or the other ship. My gut feel is that science is probably going to be
More central.
more central and less near somewhere where a random explosion could eject everything out to space.
What exactly do you think they were doing in their science? Never mind.
You're asking the wrong guy.
Yeah.
I'm a pilot, not a science guy.
We can't know until we dare.
He's a
Could be
dark
anything.
player, damn it.
Yes. Okay, let's assume then that they'll want it in a more secure thing. So, okay, take the right-hand path.
Okay. As you turn down the right-hand path, I would like each of you
Oh
Uh-oh.
boy.
Oh yeah.
to make me what do they call it in this game? An observation check.
So, what does observation add to?
Right, observation is on wits.
Okay.
As if you look in notes under general skills.
Yes.
Yes,
That's
Yep,
going.
you got one.
That's coming up next. Give it. Hang on.
I don't see anything. I'm cleaning my glasses outside of the.
Yeah.
There's something stuck.
Right. So that's 7 dice I need.
So you find you got those horrible tendrils like ivy hats just sort of sticking to your visor. It's like, what's this stuff?
It's a little bit early.
Tendrils. Right, so I'm rolling 7 dice and I got 2 6s on mine.
Okay, so Mechiador is the only person who didn't succeed.
And he's also the guy in the middle, I think.
Yeah.
And is the guy in the middle, yeah.
Is there any chance you could be in the front and the back simultaneously?
The
Surely
two
if he's
of
not
you-
seeing things, we don't want him at the front or the back.
The two of you at the front and back
Mm-hmm.
both notice at roughly the same time that the plant is beginning to change its behavior. It's not just sitting there anymore. It's very slowly moving. The vines are beginning to just sort of slightly sway, even though there is, as far as you're aware, no wind here. As you are looking at this and about to call it to the attention of your crewmate who has failed to spot that this is happening, Shihad stumbles
Oh no.
and looking down realizes that what has caused him to trip is that a vine has wrapped itself around his foot.
While I was walking, then it must have snatched me pretty quickly.
Yeah, it must have done.
Yeah, well, there is a reaction to be had.
Those
Excuse
interested in the way the
me.
game system works, that cost me a darkness point to do that.
Right. Two things. One, when I say I'm paranoid about vines grabbing us, listen to the horror GM. And 2, in character, oh crap.
So yeah, your first thought is just that you've put your foot down wrong and it's gone underneath the vine and tripped you. But then when you try and remove it, the vine is wrapped completely around your foot. And as you say, that must have happened pretty quickly.
Right.
Yeah, I'm kind of trying to shake my foot loose.
Okay, hold still.
Are you obeying her instruction to hold still, or are you trying to get your foot loose?
Well, I do hold still. I have a good, what's it called, balance. So I'm standing on up 1 foot now, one in the air, and holding still.
Query. Are the suits basically onesies with a helmet, or are they separate glove boots? Because the guy whose glove we found, that was a separate unit.
Yes.
Are
I'm
the
going
boots
to
and gloves
assume that
separate?
the gloves and boots are separate.
Right, we do not want the vine yanking your boot off. Don't struggle. Doesn't matter if you put your foot down, but don't struggle.
Pretty solidly connected.
The vines are basically ambushing us. Colour me cautious, okay? Has anyone got a
Okay, I'm
knife?
slowly putting my foot down again. So it should have at least sent me flowers before it touched me.
As you slowly put your
You're
foot
saying that
down,
to a plant?
the vine shifts and tightens around it as it hits the floor.
Yeah. Has anybody got a knife?
Yep, behind me.
You have.
I think I do too.
I think you do.
I'm sure I must have something fairly sharp in my toolbox.
Yeah, that's true. I apparently don't. Because I have...
Well, for cutting up open cables and some...
Yeah, certainly there will
Cling.
be something suitable in the
Yeah.
toolbox. Yes.
Okay.
So I'm not supposed to step on vines, but I can cut them off. Fine.
I think we're past the don't tread on me stage now. We're on the sod off and stop trying to kill us stage.
Well, then I will try to slowly descend to my knees.
Oh, yes, put your head near the vines. That's great. That's an excellent idea.
How do you cut off vines from far away?
I was thinking...
Just shoot them.
Woman!
Woman!
I was thinking that the guy behind you,
He puts
who
his...
isn't tangled...
He
So
should
she's
go
suggesting
down
I
to the
put
floor.
my head
Well,
and hands near the vines.
have at it, Farouk.
Yeah, but you can do it with bending. He'd have to kneel down. It's just a thought.
I don't suppose my tools include like a small plasma cutter, do they?
That's not a bad idea, actually.
But...
I'll tell you what I'm going to do.
Oh dear.
I'm going to play to the strengths of the system. I'm going to let you decide whether your tools include a small plasma cutter. If they don't, we carry on as before. If they do, I get my darkness point back.
Yeah, please don't make me use my reality manipulation this early in the session.
Okay. Guys, you're probably going to hate me for this. Let's say they do include, but I choose not to use it.
Because it's fire and it burns?
Excellent! So give him a darkness point and leave us
For
shafted.
nothing.
Excellent.
Nope.
No, actually, I can see your point. I can see your point.
Literally, holding the thing in my hand, like,
Yeah.
really not the right tool for this job. I've got a saw.
Yeah. That's a more logical thing to do for cutting through fibrous material. Which we're hoping this is. If it bleeds and squeals, then we're leaving.
So, this is going to be a force check. Force, I believe,
Use the force,
is
Farouk.
a general skill, so it can be rolled on strength if you don't have any points in force. And for the fact that you are using a suitable tool, I will give you an extra 2 dice. However,
dice.
the plant is surprisingly tough, which knocks 1 die off. So, total force plus 1.
Two sixes.
Nice.
Okay.
Well done.
So, you
Not bad with 3
observe
dice.
the rather interesting phenomena of the plant, the vines initially beginning to contract around your saw as you put it into place. And then, as you begin to cut, backing away. First quite subtly, and then once you've got the motion going and you make a deep incision for the first time, the vines retreat. And in an instant, you and Shahad are standing on a section of open, revealed deck plating.
You see?
Thank
Any
you.
more of that nonsense, and you get the sharp thing.
Don't threaten it. Thank it for backing
They're
away.
standing roughly on the edge of where.
Why, thank you for letting me go.
There we go.
Did you just successfully intimidate a plant?
I dread to think.
You don't want to know about his other pastime activities.
Now I'm looking worriedly at his collection of cacti.
He tamed him not to sting him.
Yeah, trained to attack cacti.
Mm.
Set up as rumor guards.
Possibly with knives taped to their heads.
Just so,
So at least one person in chat will get that one.
just so that I'm completely clear on what just happened. Zainab, can you confirm that both Shahad and I are stood on metal decking rather than plant?
You are. How big a clear area is there around them?
Oh, just slightly bigger than the space needed for them to stand on.
Okay.
So, given they're quite close together at the moment, around a meter.
Okay, that's fair.
I
Yeah.
don't think we should be staying here.
No.
I'm with Shahad on that.
No, I
We
think
should get moving, forward or
Progressing.
back.
progressing with alacrity, I feel.
I think
Mind
possibly
your feet.
advancing to the rear.
How far have we come by this point? Are we at the point where progressing is going to be as long
Far
as
enough to
going
have
back?
nightmares.
Thanks.
That depends on your destination, to be honest. I should stop the walking on plants noise because you're not currently.
No, we're currently standing next to plants. We're plant adjacent.
If the laboratory is where you expect the laboratory to be, it's probably as quick to reach the land as it is to go back to the air. If by are you closer to the other side, you mean the airlock on the far side of the station where the other ship you're looking for is, then no, you've got quite a way to go.
If there's a reasonable equipped lab on this, we might be able to synthesize a defoliant, at least temporarily. At least something that could function as one.
Do you not think that whoever was here first would have done that if they could?
I think they probably did, and then they probably legged it.
I wonder why.
Probably because otherwise plants were going to eat them from the feet up. But I think we're justified in not taking our suits off yet.
Should we make our way to the lab first? Because maybe they never had to do anything with these plants. Maybe that's just some form of mutated basil.
You reckon that plants may have come in later?
Could be. I mean, there are giant holes everywhere. If some meteorite with unknown plant residue, spores, whatever, came in through one of the holes and just started to develop here, then it has nothing to do with any of the things on the station.
Whatever we're doing, we're wasting air here talking about it. Captain,
Yes.
make a decision either way. Which way are we going?
We're going on.
Get moving.
We're going on.
Okay.
There's no point covering old ground.
You move only a short distance further
Uh-huh.
with with some reaction as you move from plants now. It's not staying away from you. However, what it is doing is it's shifting under your feet, almost as if it's trying to avoid being crushed as you walk.
Oh my god, how cute.
When
It's
it
not
pulls...
leaving you free space, but it is
Yeah.
sort of just shifting away as your foot comes down, so that, as far as you can tell, you're standing on the metal. But it's hard to say for certain because the moment you lift your foot up, it lands.
Okay. Did you actually damage the plant when it pulled away from you?
I made a cut, barely grazed the outer, whatever you guys call it.
I'm just trying
Skin?
to work out. I'm
You
not
you
a
did cut it
botanist.
deeply enough to get through the outer layer, but you had to put
Yeah.
some thought into that. Because it is.
Just wondering how smart this carrot is. Right.
Well, if you cut my skin, I'm going to pull away pretty quickly. That's not a conscious, intelligent
No.
thought. That's
The autonomic system isn't intelligence. It's an
No. It's if
Even
we
my cat
threaten.
will move away from something that hurts it. He's as thick as a brick.
I've met your cat. I wouldn't put money on it. I've trodden on your cat.
As far as I'm aware, it's currently doing nothing what a normal plant wouldn't do, except for the speed it does it.
Yeah.
Because plants who like the darkness will grow towards the darkness, and if there is a sunny place, they will avoid it like, well, it's a sunny place. So in this time, it's just going fast.
Yeah. They will also, vines will also grow around things that they can use as support, but generally not in the space of about 2
Yes.
seconds.
So
Seldomly
I've
living
taken
support.
a few more steps, just enough
Yeah.
to confirm that this is what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
When the light attached to Zainab's suit reveals another opening up ahead.
I thought we were going to say goes out then. And
Oh, yes, I was
No,
worried.
that has cost me a darkness point. Saving them.
oh, good. I feel so much happier now. Okay. What kind of opening?
Right. You'll have to move a little. This is right on the edge of your light, and you were worrying about your what was happening around your feet. So
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to have to move
sure
forward
you'll
slightly.
need to actually move forward and pay attention to it.
Yes.
So doing that, then, as you bring the light to bear properly, you discover that you have reached a crossroads.
Okay.
There are several signs on the walls here. Some of them are faded, like the one that you found before.
Yeah.
And all of them are faded, but only a couple to that degree. One of them very clearly labels laboratory that way.
Mm-hmm.
So the direction you would have expected to go, turning left again to be heading back out.
Yeah.
Another one points straight ahead of you in the direction you're now going, which is across the widthways across the station, and has a sign, a pointer labeled biodome.
I
And
don't want
going
to go
back
to Biodome.
the other way, so back the way you came, but deeper inside the station, are labels saying living quarters and engineering.
Lab first, then engineering.
seems solid.
And I don't know about anyone else, but the biodome I would like to treat as an automatic hazmat area.
I'd be inclined to agree.
I've seen Deep Rising. I know how this works. There's
I had enough
tentacles out
basil
there.
in my life. I don't need more. Thanks.
Yes.
Oh, something else you will notice, because this particular plaque sign is in quite good condition and you are studying it quite closely. In the bottom right, disconnected from the text actually telling you things, are the letters IAR-18.
IAR-18.
And numbers. It's obviously 1 and 8 aren't numbers, aren't letters. They are numbers, very much so.
Where was that again?
It's just in the bottom right corner of the plaque of the sign.
IAR. Wonder what that stands for.
No idea.
Well, since I tapped into the camera feed before, and cameras usually in the feed have like numbers and things they are for, is it any similar to like?
Yeah, looking back over the data from when you tapped into the cameras before, you can indeed find that the ID for each camera, as part of its sequence, does include that section, IAR-18, something else, something else.
Name of the
Okay.
station. Logically.
Yep, I will share my findings about IAR-18 with my colleagues, but with no further clues. couldn't actually make sense of it.
No. IAR, does that ring any bells as a naming scheme for anything I have come across in my employ?
You have the right sort of skill set.
I do have the right sort of skill set.
Could. I think logically it would have to come under science, because although it's not really a science thing, it's knowledge about...
Yeah, it's archaeology,
science
which comes
thing.
under science.
So I'm going to let you make a science roll at -2.
Yay.
So effectively just a straight wits roll.
Yeah.
Well, it's clearly an interstellar abandoned relic number 18.
That's the one.
You've been putting some effort into that one, haven't you?
He's been thinking about it since it came up, I'm sure.
Yeah.
If I was giving Bernie points, you'd get a Bernie point for that.
Right. The outer one of those. So I get gold 5 dice and I get 1 6.
Okay. You did get 1, however. You're familiar with this style of naming. You can't place this specifically.
Oh,
We've
those are
given the
nice.
array on the outside,
Yeah.
and the way that you know stations are often named. You would guess at something to do with astronomic research. Possibly...
And I'm back in the room.
Yeah.
Whoops.
So this is to do with
Possibly-
astronomic research.
Yeah. Intrasystem astronomic research, interstellar astronomic research, Institute for Astronomic Research, international astronomic research. You can't really be sure, but that would make sense for what you've seen at the station so far.
Okay.
Research, by the way, is effectively astronomy in the third line.
I was assuming as much. Probably not dealing then with organic materials overmuch.
No.
Sound like having fun there, Mackie.
But it depends on what kind of science team you have on board. Additional to watching the stars.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
this is a fairly large vessel just to look at the stars.
And it is
Pretty
very
big.
old as well, so it could be that they're using a naming system that differs from what you're familiar with now. But from your experience, that would be the most likely.
Okay. And I couldn't make a culture check in order to try and identify the linguistic setup.
That is an interesting question. Let me just remind myself exactly what culture does. You're a person of wisdom with insight into a wide array of subjects. You study the diverse cultures and peoples of the horizon and know of their traditions, faiths, and superstitions. So yes, that's actually pretty good. Again, I'm going to make this at -2 because you're dealing with something very old.
Okay.
But feel free to make a culture roll at -2.
Right. So, my culture is...
And culture is rolled on empathy.
Yeah.
Although, in this instance, you're trying to remember a specific fact, so I'm going to house rule a change of stat here.
Okay.
The game system as written, you always roll the same attribute with the same skill. I've never liked that in any game system. It doesn't really ring true. For example, the best way to determine, in a fantasy game, for example, the best way to determine how good a sword is to use your intelligence and your knowledge of swords. But if your knowledge of swords comes off dexterity, say, then that doesn't really make sense. So in this case, I'm going to make this a wits and culture roll.
Did you say -2,
With a
yeah?
-2 modifier, so effectively wits +1.
Okay. Which is cool, because that gives me 6 dice. Anyone would think wits was basically the thing I'm best at. Please don't ask me to lift
What
anything
she does.
heavier than a pencil.
Same here, I don't know why.
So basically, none of us are actually sort of combat based because I'm not picking up anything heavier than a pencil.
I've got 2 6s.
Okay. So that will give you some basic information, but not a lot.
Okay.
However, you're 1/6 short of a critical success.
Oh.
If you want to give me a darkness point, you can re-roll the non-6s here.
Oh. Yes, have a darkness point.
Okie dokie.
Boy.
I'm up to 6 darkness points now.
Yeah, I didn't need to hear that. So, but I am re-rolling
Can't
4
see
dice.
the pot, so I thought
Thanks.
it was okay.
Great.
That's enough for 6 limbs to be held by vines. I know where that goes.
Yeah.
You have 1, 2, 3,
No,
4,
no, no,
5.
no, 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 no.
And then they pull in different directions.
No.
It's enough to get all 6 of your feet at a point where you're out of arm's reach of each other.
Oh.
It just wants to hold hands with each of us.
How hard is it to mod my spacesuit to incorporate stilettos?
Oh,
Well, actually, relatively simple, but pretty hard when you don't have the right facilities and
Yeah.
you're wearing it at the time.
I know. What are you? Yes.
Yep, got it?
Yep. 3, 3,
Oh.
5, 6.
Hey,
Ooh.
you suddenly have a breakthrough.
I'm supposed to have break down, which I was about to.
Yep. Sign and the other signs on the walls around, which are, as I said, somewhat faded. A couple of them completely unreadable, but there's a couple of others where you can get bits of, and you suddenly identify the dialect.
Okay.
It is Old Debarani, but more specifically, there are script oddities that lead you to the Emirate of Yehenna, an emirate which no longer exists on Dabaran and hasn't done since the last days of the Portal Wars.
Jehenna?
Yehenna.
Now, vanished or extinct?
or just incorporated in the rest of the empires.
Yeah.
Died out. At that point, the planet Dabaran is mostly desert. At that point, it was becoming desert. It was always a little bit dry and harsh. But during the days of the Portal Wars, it was suffering from climatic upheavals, really.
Okay.
And crops were dying all over the planet, with the result that the inhabitants of Dabaran really had to move out of certain areas of the planet which are now desert. The Emirate of Yehenna lies within one of those deserts, and this must date to its last days before they had to give up.
I have used the term ecological collapse.
That's a good term.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And just for giggles, I've also made that note public because it's the sort of thing that the party should know. And yeah, I will explain this as a point of interest, but that does also give us a time frame to a certain extent. Which
So how long ago was that?
That note was obviously not updated properly
No.
because there was a new note public owned by Dresscup.
That is blank.
It's just blanked itself.
Oh, there's fun. I suspect that might be my fault. Because I just opened it. I have a feeling that it hadn't transferred the data from your machine to my machine, and that when I opened it as a blank note as GM, that may have
resaved it.
overwritten everyone else's copy.
Thanks for that.
So I apologise, didn't know that was going to happen. Feel free to make that note again and I won't open it. Just to save time.
Okay.
sorry, Fish. So how long ago was the end of the Emirate of Gehenna?
Around 100 years ago, approximately a century. You are roughly 1 century after the Portal Wars, and it was during the last days of the Portal Wars. All of which ties up with how old the station has seemed to you so far.
I have a question, because it's the station number 18 at least. And all news archives and so on are all data archives I potentially have had access to in the past years. Were there ever any... Could I find out if there were ever any reports about the launching of these stations? Because these are massive stations. If there's more than one over the course of time...
Yeah, you can indeed. And
what need I roll?
Not even going to make you roll dice for it. Sorry, I know you like to roll dice. But there really isn't a negative effect I can kick in for failing this, apart from you find out about completely the wrong station. So I'm just going to say that there's no roll needed for this. You will find the following by researching the appropriate location, time period, and the code that you've got. And you discover the Royal Dabaran Institute for Astronic Research, station number 18, which was indeed part of a research program created by the last Emir of Gehenna during the period when his primary concern was in finding ways to reverse the ecological damage being done to his emirate and save his people. The station was reported lost with all hands during the last days of the Portal Wars, and it's in the wrong place.
Aside from that, we're all fine.
The station was built on the edge of the system, but not where you have found it.
Okay.
There's unfortunately no further information on what research programs were being undertaken on board.
Brilliant. We got a station that is kind of out of place and out of time.
So it's out of time and it's out of place.
What were the Portal Wars?
The portals are the jump gates, basically, that are used to traverse between different systems. The third horizon is not the only place where these portals exist. It is the third section. This could be Babylon 4. You're right there, Chrono Magistrate.
It's starting to get that feel, Chrono Magistrate.
Somebody obviously stole it and brought it here to fight in the Portal Wars. Okay, so yeah, the Portal Wars were the wars that were originally started by essentially Earth to try and reclaim colonies that were getting more and more independent and further away from their founders and owners. The first and second horizons are the area. The first horizon is the area closest to Earth that was still dominated by Earth, and they essentially went to war against the second and third horizons. But the second and third horizons also fought, and we had a big three-way battle, war going on. At the end of it, the third horizon was able to isolate itself, cutting off portal access to any location outside of the 36 systems that form what is now simply known to its inhabitants as the horizon.
Okay. So... doesn't actually get us any further in this situation, but this shouldn't be here.
The first come know about Portal Wars because their ancestors lived through it. So the Zenithians, and I believe each of you is a Zenithian.
Yep.
It's purely history because the Zenith missed the Portal Wars. It set out too soon. Flew at slower speeds without using portals through space and eventually arrived in the Dabaran system after the Portal Wars were over. So they missed them completely.
Okay. Can I quickly check, Fish? Do you have in the notes a deduced information note?
Deduced information, I do indeed. I'm hesitant to risk opening it.
Hang on.
But it is called deduced information now.
Yeah.
It's there, yes.
I see it.
I'm just wondering if anybody else can open it.
Yep.
Yeah, somebody who isn't me, just in case I accidentally overwrite it
Yep.
again.
Yeah, you got
I'm
it.
assuming that's what
There's
happened.
actually data there.
There is data there.
Excellent stuff.
Cool.
Fish shouldn't need it because it's just what he's told us. It's just I wanted to check it was actually there. And
So the notes system does work then for players keeping
Yeah.
notes.
that's what I was thinking. I made it
I'm
public
just going
instead of
to
sharing it.
swap over to the player view that is being streamed.
Of
so that I can
course,
show
yes.
people what this looks like. So here we have a list of notes, most of which were created by me, about the areas of the Third Horizon and about the rules. But down here we have deduced information, which is written by Drut, and says that information that they've just given. IAR 18 pertains to astronomic research. Dialect is Old Dabarani from the Emirate of Old Gehenna. Died out as the planet suffered ecological collapse at the end of the Portal Wars roughly a century ago. There we go.
It
So
was
that
old Gehenna,
is there.
wasn't it?
It was just Gehenna, in fact.
Okay, sorry.
But nowadays I can see people referring to it as Old Gehenna or Lost Gehenna because it is an emirate that no longer exists.
Okay. And yes, very strong Babylon 4 feels here.
I can see that. I mean, this is very much a science fantasy game. With the worshipping icons and the dark between the stars, you've got very much that fantasy element that is missing in a lot of science fiction, and which Babylon 5 had so strong.
You did.
Especially
Yeah.
the dark, if you equate the dark between the stars with, well,
Shadows.
Third space.
Yeah.
shadows.
It's even very much Enterprise. I mean, the first dead thing we found was colored red. So it clearly was a red suit.
Yes! It was a red shirt. Excellent.
Oh dear.
It's the classic stormtrooper and the red shirt get into a firefight. The stormtrooper misses every time and the red shirt dies anyway. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, you've got a bit more information, and you have a direction.
Okay.
You have a number of directions, in fact.
Yeah, I
follow,
think...
But you don't know
Science lab.
whether they lead directly. The lab, you're pretty certain must be leading directly. The others, you might have to take other turns, and their signage on those turns may not be as good.
Yeah.
Science lab.
We're going to hit the lab first. Then our next priority is to find engineering.
Okay.
Why is there never a sign that says living happily ever after?
Well, that's a very specific area. Not every station will have it.
There's a sign on the wall with an arrow on it labelled, "This way to a simple resolution and no death."
Yeah,
Obviously a decoy. We'll
Fortunately,
go
it's
the
covered
other
in
way.
plants and you missed it.
yes. Thanks for that. Right.
Okay.
If she'd gone that way, she'd have gone straight to the middle of that nasty labyrinth.
I'm going to ask for a roll that breaks the way this game system is supposed to work. I'm going to ask for a roll that doesn't have any negative connotations, because this isn't
You're
a
getting
pass-fail
twitchy.
roll. I'm going here with a who sees it first roll.
Okay.
You're going to see this, but I'm going to go with an observation roll from each of you to see who sees it first. Whoever gets
Okay.
the most sixes.
Okay, what are we rolling on?
Observation.
Observation. sorry.
Observation, which is, if you're not using it within the fantasy
Wits
realm,
and
it's
skill.
your obs plus wits.
This time it's a little bit foggy
Well,
inside
it's
my
not
helmet.
me.
You would have thought
It's
after
me.
the last time that Shihad would have learnt to pay more attention, wouldn't you?
You really would.
Or is it just that now he's paying so much attention to his feet that he can't see anything else?
Yeah, well, I'm
Right.
looking on the floor.
Fishy. 2
Okay,
sixes.
so yes, it is perhaps not unsurprisingly going to be Zainab.
To be fair,
Who
it's the person
first
who's rolled
realised
7 dice.
As you head down this corridor towards, you don't have to go very far. You know, a few meters, and your light is suddenly shining on a bulkhead door, style door,
Okay.
up ahead, labelled laboratory.
Yay.
Authorised admission only. And about the point that this is coming into view, you also start to realise that you're once again walking on plants.
Oh, not retracting anymore.
Oh, good.
It's not retracting anymore. And looking down, paying a little bit more attention to it, you can see that it's reverted to how it was when you first came on board the station. It's no longer seems to be animate at all.
And dormant or still wriggling?
It looks to be totally dormant.
Yeah. Okay, this is not necessarily safe. The plant doesn't seem to be doing anything at the moment.
Then
Do
let's
mind
make
your
advantage
feet.
of that and
Yes, mind your
Get
feet,
there.
chaps.
Maybe it's a different plant, it doesn't know us yet.
That actually could be a thing.
Should we
We've been-
introduce ourselves?
We've been assuming it's a sort of homogeneous single organism, but it could be.
maybe multiples.
Yeah.
There's a
There's plants
comfortable.
all over this station. It could be multiple
Yeah.
plants. And
How
perhaps
do-
some in different stages of their life cycle.
Good, good. How do we get through this door? Is it simply an open, or is there a key slot, or is there some kind of
Or do we
keypad,
need-
or do we need
Okay,
to get
there
Shahad
is-
to open
to
it
hack
for
it.
us?
It is a nice, solid looking, as I said, bulkhead style door.
Uh-huh.
It has got a panel in the center. Looking at it, you can see that it splits in the center and moves to either side. And where it joins in the center, there is a panel with a keypad on it and what looks like maybe a card swipe.
Shahad, could you romance that slot open?
Panel, unfortunately, is completely dark. There's no power to it.
Backup batteries! Bing!
Okay.
Firstly, checking the door if there are any seals on it saying, like, on the other side, open space.
Yeah.
Before I start anything at all. So-
Okay, you can examine the door. I mean, it does have very good ceiling on this door. But then
Advanced development.
it's a bulkhead style door on board a space station. You would expect to find these periodically so that sections can be sealed off.
Yep.
If they didn't exist, then with the holes that are back in the other direction, where the living quarters have been signposted, then the whole station would be impacted. So these bulkheads must exist at various places. This one happens to lead into the lab.
And the
There-
bulkheads increase your station strength, material strength by like 4 or 5 points. It's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry,
a,
Subnautica.
a panel on a door seldomly has right on the door a slot to put anything in, because it's just there to register whatever you do on it. So is there any kind of panel on the side of the door where to screw, driver
Yeah,
open?
you can find an access panel at the side, and using one of the tools from Farouk's toolkit, you can indeed open up the panel to reveal the wiring behind.
Okay, yes. So, turning back, Farouk, I need a number 7. Thank you for the number 7. Here, I need a number 6. And panel open. What do we have here? Cables?
Cable, vine, more vine.
There's quite a lot of cable in here, and actually, not a lot of it. But there are some smaller, weaker-looking, almost delicate tendrils running through here. Somehow, the plant has managed to get inside the wall. However,
Great.
what's in there is definitely does not look as solid. Okie dokie. You can keep an eye on the OCAN. I assume you mean plant, is that?
I was thinking plant.
Yeah, I'm looking for.
My keyboard's on its
are there
way out.
any labels? Because I'm guessing so. Because it's an access panel where you should actually know
certainly.
what runs where. So I'm deciphering the labels on there. one would say, door panel, or something similar in my kind of, I don't know, abbreviated style.
To be honest, I think you may be the wrong person to be doing this. Because
Possibly.
while if you can certainly find the appropriate wires and figure out where you could attempt to connect
Okay.
to the door.
Yeah, I'm going to ask Farouk.
It's really a technology skill role rather than a data check role, which would actually make it Farouk's job.
Yeah, well, so Jeremy, well, I'm in, but I'm stuck.
Well,
Could you? Because
yeah,
this
if
is
there's
not what
nothing
I'm
you can
used
do
to.
data-wise, let me at the tools, and I'll see if we can jury-rig something.
Yep. So we're swapping
Okay, so,
places.
Technology.
I need this piece, please, attached there. Yes.
Okay, so you need the power to that bit there. Right, okay, let me see what I can do.
Yeah, you've absolutely found which data port you need to connect to, but at the moment you've got no way of routing power to it without manually doing things that you don't really understand.
Also, there are wines in there. Don't be scared.
Until you mentioned it, I wasn't.
Yeah, that's not a cable. No, that over there, Nita.
Oh, fantastic.
If you don't stop looking over my shoulder and telling me stuff, I'm just
But
going
do you
to
hear me breathing?
jam it straight into the vine right here.
Backseat welder.
Nyum.
I have a terrible temptation to replace that with that.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Back off.
Oh, frell off. Oh no, there's one. There's one. 7
There
dice,
is
I think
one.
I do get the one success.
Oof.
Okay, so at least you got the one, which
Yes.
was enough.
Thankfully.
What you can manage to do is locate the wiring from the emergency lighting and
Yeah.
connect and sort of short the power through to the door. You haven't disconnected the emergency lighting completely.
Right.
What's going to happen is the lights will dim while the door is opening, because that's the only place you can get power from to get the door to open. But then, the moment the door's open, you just release the cable again and the lights go back on, because you haven't damaged the wiring of the lights.
Okay, the lights may go... presumably I know that before I do it.
Yes, you will know that that's the way it's going to work.
Okay, the lights are going to dim. That's me doing that to get this door open.
Oh, that's a relief.
On 3, 2...
Pulling my gun.
Okay, there is a loud clunk noise, and the door releases. It doesn't actually open, it shifts maybe 5 centimeters, and that's as much as the power from the lights is going to let it do, but it's released the catch. So then you disconnect the wire, the lighting comes back up to full, and you're in a position to manually pull the doors open the rest of the way. Behind it is indeed a laboratory.
Shining
a laboratory
light.
area. It's reasonably large. You come into a sort of a lobby area, or you are looking into a lobby area, which, surprise, surprise, has plants over most of it. It's oddly patchy, however. Shining the light around, you can see that it's come into this area through vents in the wall. Where the bulkhead was closed, it's not come along the floor like it has elsewhere. Instead, though, it has got in through vents in the wall, and it hasn't spread over the entire area, but it is sort of cooling round the furniture in close to those vents in 3 locations. You can see 2 doors leading deeper into the lab space. On the right-hand side is a smaller area which looks to be an office. The walls here are some sort of plexiglass or transparent material. So it's open plan, but without being open plan. So over on the right, you can see what does appear to be an office. On the left is the lab proper. Row upon row of capsules of some kind of similar transparent plexiglass, ceramic glass
Uh-huh.
type of material, line the walls. Inside each capsule is a dead plant of some kind. All different ones, not lots of samples of this vine, for example. It is, however, a lab full of samples of plant life, now all dead.
Right. My suggestion is Shahad looks in the office where records are likely to be held.
My suggestion is we step inside and shut the door behind us.
Well, that's a start, yes.
Some of the capsules in the lab you can see from here are broken. And you can see that the vines have got into the lab. Again, it's not as pervasive as it was in the corridors. But it is sort of crawling over various portions of the lab, including having grown into some of the broken capsules.
I think
Here,
I'm missing a trick by not
While
having
it-
the Martian Red Weed music playing on the stage.
while it is not as pervasive as it was in the corridors in terms of floor coverage, here in places the vines grow all the way up the wall and actually hang down from the ceiling.
Oh,
Right, so instead of being tripped up by them, we can literally be hung by them.
Excellent, because that's going to be so much.
and I'm the tallest.
Yeah.
Sucks to be you.
They love you. They just want to embrace you with their vininess.
They want to hug you
Yeah, a lot.
tightly.
Yes.
Well, we can we actually close the door again with a manual whateverness?
You can push it too.
Okay.
Taking a moment to study the door, you will see that if you push it all the way closed, the latch will engage again, and then you'll have to go through the same hassle you had to get in here to get back out again. But you can push it not quite that far closed. You still have a door behind you.
That's a plus.
Indeed it is.
Or you could make another technology roll to try and
Do the
bust
same
the
again.
latch so that you can push it all the way closed. Without
No, because if we do that, it ceases to become a proper seal.
This is true.
I'd far rather go through the hassle of shorting something else to open the to knock the latch out again.
Okay,
But
yeah,
I think keeping it 2 for the moment is probably as safe as we need.
Okay.
Yeah, and if we need to, we can close it
You
properly.
can just clunk it closed together pretty quickly
Yeah.
if you see something coming.
Okay. So, yeah, if Shahad starts in the office,
To the office. How do I get into the office?
Okay, there is a simple door which is actually not locked. There is a sign on it which, again, says, authorized access only. But obviously, if you've got past the main bulkhead into the lab, they assume that you're either going to be authorized or are going to stay out of the office anyway. So the office door simply slides open.
It has power, or do you mean by pushing it open?
You
Door
can
handle?
push it.
Okay.
Move.
Yes.
It looks like it probably would have Star Trek style automatically swung open if the power were on, but it moves easily enough, despite the age. It moves easily enough on its own. Push it.
I still have my gun out, so I just in the office following my light, pointing around. Firstly, if there's
In the
nothing
office, there is
instantly to
a
shoot.
double desk,
Yeah.
essentially. So you've got a large desk in the center, a chair either side of it, and 2 computer terminals back to back on the desk, one facing each chair.
Okay, I'm checking underneath the desk.
Underneath the desk, you find plant. Not as much as there is around the outsides of the office, actually, but there is some there.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Okay.
just a few tendrils running under the desk.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you find nothing under there.
Okay. The computers will have an on button. That much goes for any century ever and any game
Yeah.
ever. So if I press the on button, it does something spring to life, or are we out of power?
Well, at the moment, you're out of power. However, again, despite its age, the power connections on this look to be standard. So you could connect the battery from your computer to this and power up this one.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And that won't require a roll. That's just something you can do because it's a standard connection. So,
I shall attempt.
you connect the battery, you press the button, and the screen does indeed glow to life. Runs through a boot sequence and then brings you to what is essentially a desktop with an image of it, of some sort of a logo you're not familiar with, and across the logo, IAR-18.
Yep, through my helmet feed, I'm gonna bring the others up to speed, as what I'm seeing.
Okay.
Right. While this is happening, what are the others doing?
I'm looking to see what tools and equipment there is around the lab. Specifically, I'm looking for something that might be chemicals that Zeynep has indicated that a defoliant might be something useful to have.
So Knight stays in the core room, right? The entrance room.
So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
as we've gone through the door and shut it behind us, I'm now looking around this area. Either for, say, as I say, chemicals that might be some kind of defoliant, or more in keeping with what I know, given that I've only got like a little bit of survival knowledge. So the greeny stuff, not my thing. Things that I can manufacture into a flamethrower. Because if at the touch of a blade they're recoiling,
Yeah.
plant and fire are bad. So if I can get it to recoil away from us, we've got a way out.
Right, yeah, you can start going through the cupboards that are here. There are cupboards along the wall, and there are also cupboards on the floor sort of level. It looks almost like a kitchen type of arrangement. There's 2 levels of cupboards and a workspace in between. Various pieces of scientific equipment that you don't really know. Some of them you can identify, some of them you can guess at what they're for, some of them are complete mystery to you. Obviously, the percentages there are somewhat skewed in Zeynep's case because you can identify more of the equipment. As you are looking, however, you do get a sudden shock. Out of the corner of your eye, within the main lab room where all the capsules are, you see a face looking out from among the vines.
Okay.
The instant you look up, it disappears, and you're not 100% certain whether you saw it move or whether it was never there.
Was it a human face or a viney face replicating a human look?
Didn't really see it that clearly, but you had a definite impression of eyes, mouth, and then nothing when you looked up.
Was it just him?
That was Bruce.
Okay.
Did you guys see that? Zeynep, tell me you saw that.
I saw nothing. What am I
What was
looking
Zeynep doing?
Zeynep is taking an interest in the capsules and that part of the lab to try and work out what they were actually doing.
Taking an interest from here, or are you actually going to go
over
into
there?
That later?
Going over there.
Okay, so did you see that comes up just as you finished sliding open again, manually sliding what probably was automatic
Yeah.
in the past, though with an override because this one actually has a button
Oh, okay.
door. Presumably, the idea was with this being a lab that they could stop it from opening every time somebody walked past, which isn't necessarily a good plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, you've just finished pushing the door open when Farouk asks if you saw that. And unfortunately, you were looking at the door at that point, not into the lab, so you didn't see anything.
Can you
Something
just
over there in the woody vinery. I'm sure I saw something move. Something not quite plant.
Okay. Right.
But I can't be sure.
Oh God, why have I only got a stun gun?
And on you go as you were, because we cannot fall to distractions.
That's a very good point.
Correct
Thank
me
you,
if
Shihad.
correct me if I'm wrong, Fish. Stun gun, basically long range taser, yes?
Basically, long-range taser, yes.
Right. Okay, I'm pulling that.
Okay.
Where exactly did you see it?
There.
Points to a part of the lab near some of the broken capsules.
Okay.
It's one of the areas where vines are hanging from the ceiling, so they do obscure portions of the lab in that location.
Okay. Right. It's unlikely, but could I... How different is the old Dabarani dialect?
Not very.
Okay.
It's our basis.
Because you're in the Dabaran system now. You speak modern Dabarani, among other things. The game does not appear to have a system for learning languages. There is, however, a sidebar about characters are expected to know.
Fair enough.
So you will have, I've forgotten which language is the lingua franca of the Third Horizon, but you will know that, and whatever tongue is appropriate to your home.
Would I be right in assuming that a similar parallel would be us talking to someone from the 1920s?
Yes,
I was
could
thinking
well be.
Georgian, but yeah.
Or just someone from Manchester.
Just in case we have any Mancunians in chat or watching this later on YouTube, I think we're talking more difference in dialect rather than implying Manchester is stuck in the 1920s.
For the origin of the comment, I possibly should have said Wigan instead, because I was kind of thinking there in terms of the guy that I work with. And mostly, everybody is absolutely fine, but when he wants to, he can baffle half the members of staff because they don't do what he's saying. But that's Lancashire for you.
Says the person whose ancestry comes from Yorkshire.
Yeah, I'm not biased. I don't know what you mean.
Not in the slightest, though. You're not biased.
No.
It's all north. What can I say?
So yeah, it's very much the same language but a different dialect.
Yeah.
There may be odd words or phrases here and there that are different. There may be things where if it was being spoken rather than written, where the pronunciation might have changed in the last century, and it takes you a while to figure out what word they're actually saying. Like the chap who asked me at work today if we sold strews, which I eventually figured out were drinking straws. He wasn't from the north. He was actually probably not with an English accent.
No, I was just checking that we were talking more sort of Manchester or sort of a Georgian Edwardian era than in modern English versus Chaucer.
Than a different language. Oh, certainly not anywhere near as bad as modern English versus
not drafting in my limited knowledge of the Canterbury Tales in order to give you the approximation.
Apparently just misread that page reference.
Excellent.
Ah, yeah, I did. Okay,
right.
So languages. Right, there is Zeni, which is spoken across the entire horizon. That's the lingua franca. That's the language of Pessimisticus. So you lot would definitely speak. Dabari, it should be rather than Dabarani, is spoken in many of the systems along the Dabaran circle. So this is an old dialect of Dabari.
Okay.
Miri, spoken in Mira and Iwaz. Chuan in Chua and Coriolis. Algolan for Algon Chua and many of the systems along the Algolan route. And Zalosi for those on Salos. But pretty much you can expect Zeni to be understood wherever you go.
Okay.
I can't remember off the top of my head where your characters actually came from, but you will speak whichever of those languages are appropriate. And if you don't speak the Bari Drups, you do now because we've used it in this scenario.
Okie dokie.
But she surely is cool in it because it might actually be more of the. She's the highborn of us, right?
I may have
Yes.
the noble background, yes.
Yes, you have the noble background,
Yep.
and I have had a little bit of insight, but I'm not fluent in speaking it myself. So I can read it, but I can't talk it.
By the way, Fish,
Yeah.
you might, where after the session, want to adjust the notes page on my character sheet.
Okay.
So it's mine, not Farouk.
Oh, okay.
What?
How did I manage that?
I don't know. I've got Farouk's character sheet for just on the notes page. Everything else is right,
Yes,
Possibly
okay.
because
That's
but initially it was the wrong character
fuck up,
sheet on.
but I do apologise. Yes,
That's
that
all right.
will need to be.
I was
your
just
middle name is Farouk, so it's easy to get us mixed up.
I was just looking at the background and I thought I didn't grow up in the slums of the conglomerates,
Yeah,
you know.
I would be.
No, that was me.
But and interestingly, Farouk does not have those notes. So
No, I don't. I was just looking at it thinking, I don't have any of that.
I'll tell you what, that actually is a leftover. I don't think that is actually
Yeah, because
Farouk.
you had the wrong character sheet up for me before.
I think that's actually from one of the pre-gen PCs.
Ah,
So
okay.
I will have to check this, you know, what belongs where between sessions. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Apologies for
Should we go
derailing.
for a swift break since we're out of it right now?
Okay, that seems like a not unreasonable idea. We can
Okay.
take a break there.
I'm going to
Yep.
AFK.
Completely forgotten to be ready for such things, so I'm afraid I won't be playing the
That promo video.
Just keep singing.
Because I haven't got it actually set up to play this week, which I did last week.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, I'll need you to link me to that so that I can play it next time we do this, and we can all synchronise our playing the Rusty Quill video.
Yep.
Well,
Because they're
I will
cool
let
dudes.
perhaps throw a link into
Discord.
the chats for it anyway, and I will put us AFK for the moment.
Bold assumption on your part, but yeah, fair enough.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dra.
So what I will do is I won't mute anything. So if people in chat want to ask questions to anybody who does not actually depart during this AFK session, or indeed if they want to ask questions and if we're not here, we'll answer them when we get back. That's absolutely fine.
Yep, that's cool.
And I personally, yes, am going to take a quick wander off and be back in a couple of minutes.
Yep, I will imminently be doing the same thing. Right, so yes, oh my god, I've been abandoned by everybody and nobody loves me. And I will referee until they get back. So, just chucking into people's chats. If you wish to go and toddle off and have a 3-minute watch supporting some pretty cool people. You can hear panting, of course that's the spacesuit breathing. It's kind of creepy. So, what do people think so far of Coriolis? a little bit on the weirdy side. Rather enjoying it.
It
my
is very
POV.
much on the weirdy side.
Yeah.
But yes, equally, that kind of makes it enjoyable.
Just check the link into everybody's chat tonight,
I've seen that.
which is the YouTube version of the Rusty Quill promotional video.
My camera's still not quite there.
I think I likely nudged my camera earlier and I haven't managed to get it right in the right place since.
Yeah, I was doing some work on the wall behind the screen and nudged it. And
I still love that bow. I think it's fantastic.
it is awesome, isn't it? It's so beautiful to shoot.
I can
It's by
imagine.
far the most enjoyable bow I have to shoot.
I wish I could justify another expensive hobby, and I can't justify the one I've got. I'm looking at swords, and I could not afford a bow as well. I'm not sure when the local clubs shoot, actually.
Local to you would be Thanet Archery.
Yeah, there's one happens at St Lawrence College, which is it's about a 20-minute walk from me.
Yep,
But I think they shoot on Saturdays.
they do indeed.
Yeah.
To be honest, the mechanics don't seem too bad. The fact that there's less die rolling, it focuses more on the role play and the storytelling aspect, is kind of interesting.
It is. It does, as Fish mentioned earlier, it does slightly knock one of our standard mechanics out, which is the making people roll and building tension by not necessarily having the rolls mean anything. But equally, I suppose the mechanics are simple enough that you can build tension verbally.
In
Rather
the
than that.
rules versus mechanics versus narrative
Now I'm just going to AFK briefly.
debate, I fall firmly into the why not both camp.
Yeah.
I've never particularly felt that mechanics, unless they're badly written, detract from the story. Quite the opposite. If they're a good set of mechanics, take something like Storyteller. The way in which the Storyteller mechanics in the earlier editions, before they messed them up, work, are extremely versatile and very useful for the GM, because you get a really good feel for what's actually happened. The number of successes that have come out of a roll give you a good feel for how well has this person actually achieved what they're doing, and that you write into the narrative when you get the story as a result. So another good example to my mind is Rollmaster. People criticize Rollmaster for being too table heavy, but the tables in Rollmaster for skill results, for example, give you quite specific results which feed into story, rather than something like the D20 systems. I want to climb this wall, I roll my dice, I climb the wall or I don't climb the wall. Rollmaster will tell you how far up the wall you've got on that roll, and if it's not far enough, what bonus you have for the next roll to try and get the rest of the way. Or maybe something's going horribly wrong. And that adds, to my mind, to the way the narrative is playing out, because you get this idea that, okay, I've got halfway up the wall on that roll. Oh no, I've done really badly on the next roll. Have I got stuck? Have I fallen off? Or alternatively, you might just make the roll and up you go. Oh, look at that. I apparently set up a keyword for Rollmaster.
Well, you are planning a Rollmaster game.
Almost
so
as if I was planning on running a Rollmaster game, yeah. Well,
Funny that.
way that works.
Are you?
I was planning on it.
The mechanics in this game are a little sparse, but effective. I am quite liking them, despite being someone who I should probably go back to actually seeing us not showing the application, which I didn't want to because I've got a bit of cake here. But the rolling d6s to get a 6, I don't like on principle. It's like I was saying about them, to my mind, messing up the Storyteller system. I liked Storyteller rolled against a variable target number, because that gives the GM a lot of versatility. I don't like systems that have a set target number and modify the number of dice. It's working okay in this game, but modifying the target number would be, to me, a better way of doing things. I prefer that. Nevertheless, it works for what it's actually required. And there are some very nice touches about the system as well. I like the darkness points. There are points of it that I feel they might come in the way of what I think of as my job as a GM. For example, the idea that I'm spending darkness points to do particular things. I couldn't just decide the vines are going to grab Shahad's foot. That's something that costs me a darkness point to do. There's a list of things that cost me a darkness point to do. There's a long list of things, generic things, in the rulebook, and then there are some additional ones in this scenario. Certain creatures of darkness, genie and so forth, to use their abilities cost me darkness points. Which means if the players are being very cautious and careful and not racking up darkness points, those creatures become far less dangerous because I don't have the points to power their abilities. And while making the creatures less dangerous is not necessarily a bad thing, restricting me if I'm get to a point and I think now dramatically would be a really good time to have the vines do something, but if I haven't got a darkness point, I can't do that. And that feels like it's restricting my ability as a GM rather than adding to it. It makes it feel almost a little bit more like a board game. But at the same time, as Knight was saying when I came back, there's the slightly simplistic mechanics and the focus on not rolling unless there's some negative impact potentially as a result of it, do push the focus more towards RP. Because you're progressing through the narrative, not through the dice. Now, I've always been a great believer of progressing through both.
Agreed.
I've never played Dusk City Outlaws. I think it's one that's on my list of to pick up at some point. Because I've heard people talk about playing it, but I've not seen an AP or anything for it.
In the end, a rule book, even if it's called rule book, it's a guide more, right?
Yeah.
So if you need points to strangle us, then do so.
Absolutely. I think.
But use your darkness points first. If you have none less, then you may.
I guess knew exactly what he was doing when he called it the Dungeon Master's Guide.
Yes.
Yes.
Most of the rules are actually in the player's handbook for most editions of D&D. Which is kind of as it should be. That's the mechanical side that you need for creating your character and knowing when your character is dead. The Dungeon Master stuff is how to run an interesting game. And that being said, I'm going to make once again the recommendation that I've already made on the Discord, that if anybody is not familiar with the books Play Dirty and Play Dirty 2 by John Wick, and you are a GM, read them.
Yep.
They're not very expensive. They're available on PDF either from DriveThruRPG or directly from John Wick's website. And they are, well, I actually haven't read 2 at all yet. But I'm convinced it's going to be very, very good, because what I've read so far of 1 is very, very good.
I worry how much John Wick appears to live inside my head as regards to horror and being mean to players.
Yeah. But he's mean to players in a good cause. It's all in the interests of making sure that the players have the best possible game that they can have. It's not... he's been accused of being a killer GM. He dislikes being called a killer GM because he doesn't want to kill off characters. He wants to push characters so that their survival, if they survive, and their achievement, whatever they achieve, is that much sweeter.
Skin of your teeth.
I utterly agree with him that the idea is not to kill the characters. The idea is to make the characters think they nearly die.
That's how I run. That's how I run everything. Right.
So,
investigating after the ad break.
Yes.
Coming back with me approaching, stun gun out. Okay, he's sniggering. Why's he sniggering?
I'm just looking at Mickey's
I
comment
think
on
he's
my
reading
chat.
his chat.
Ah,
Yeah. Yes, we have watered the plants.
fair enough.
Okay.
Right, yes, I am stun gun out, and I am approaching cautiously where Farouk indicated that he saw the face.
Right. So, moving into the jungle, essentially, that was once a laboratory. You have to step around and, in some cases, actually move aside. Vines, they're not actually vines if they're dangling from the ceiling because they're only attached to one end, so something else. I can't remember what the word is.
Tendrils.
Now, there is a word, because everyone gets it wrong with Tarzan. They say that he swings on vines, and he doesn't. He swings on something else, and I can't remember.
Yeah, that's true.
But,
I didn't know that.
yeah, vines are attached to things, they don't dangle. So in this case, this plant is demonstrating once again that it is not normal, because it's been vines up until now, and in this room, it's shifted its nature and is dangling from the ceiling.
Excellent.
However, it also seems as dormant as it was in the corridor outside.
Right.
And you can step around and push past it to reach parts of the lab.
Where's Ray Mears when you need him?
Where Farouk thought he saw the face. What is
Okay.
Farouk doing as Zainab moves in to investigate?
I shall return to looking for, but purely based from what Shahad said, continuing with what I was doing in the first place, looking for things I could jury rig into making some
so
sort of
you're
flamethrower.
Still taking inventory of useful stuff.
Yeah.
You're pressing forward to try and find out whether there was indeed a face in among the vines, and Shahad is doing what at this point? Because you've caught up timeline-wise now, everybody's in the same place again.
Yep. Since the computer came online, is the passport encrypted? Do I need special access? Do I need...
It seems, now that you're here, it does seem to be quite open.
Okay, so it's basically a
However-
workstation open for everybody.
Yeah, it does seem to be. There's no, it's not asking for a password or anything like that.
Okay, are there any obvious files on the desktop which like read, if you read this you're about to die or something, or this is my favorite cat video. Woo!
There's nothing saying if you read this you are about to die. However, one program did actually open by default when the desktop came up, shortly after the desktop itself appeared.
Bloody Skype,
Which
you can't
appears
kill that
to
even
be-
in the far future.
Appears to be an email package, in fact. And whoever was using this this terminal clearly maintained sort of good policy on clearing out their inbox, because there's nothing here apart from one message, which is to the esteemed Chief Royal Scientist Wahina Adala, from the Honourable Royal Minister for Agricultural Affairs. And it reads, "The Emir is not pleased with the effort of your team. He asks you to remember that this is a holy mission ordained by the icons themselves, and that the Emir expects to see some real results soon. The future of the people of the Emirate is at stake. If you fail, history will not be kind. May the icons bless your work."
Okay.
Oh,
Share
boy.
that sheet so that you can see it written there.
We're
It's
working for the
chat,
emojis.
because I wanted to play with how the chat bubbles in Fantasy Grounds work.
No, that's fair enough.
So it is in the chat there, and it's also available for you to see.
Okay.
So that gives you a name, because you now have the name Wahina Adala. as the chief scientist on this station.
Okay.
Right. Drat.
Yo.
Zeynep has reached the location that she was pointed to. It appears to be a part of the station, a part of the lab, pretty much the same as any other part of the lab. There are capsules along the wall, and around half of them in this location are broken, and those that are, the vines have grown through the opened capsules.
Okay.
The plant matter in the other capsules is all dead. And at first, you can see nothing that would give any indication as to why Farouk thought he saw a face here. And no way that he could have seen a face. Until
I've got a theory.
you notice something.
Mm-hmm.
One of the sections of racking on which the glass capsules are stored.
How big are the capsules? Just...
They vary in size, but on average they're about 20 to 50 centimeters.
Okay.
In height, and probably 10 to 20 in diameter.
Okay.
Yeah, this section of racking doesn't line up with the one next to it. And taking a closer look, you can see that it has been pulled or pushed away from the wall. Not very far, but enough to reveal that there is a space towards the bottom of the wall. It actually curves out slightly. It looks like it's intended for running pipes, cables,
Oh, right. Okay.
other supply things. You would imagine that although this station is being used for this specific research, that it's probably a generic station design and the lab adaptable. So it could be that they need all kinds of different things being piped through to the equipment within the lab, and this space will provide that behind the racking.
Yeah.
Where the racking has been pulled away, there is just enough room for an average-sized person to squeeze in there.
Okay. Farouk, there's space. There could have been somebody here.
Okay.
I'm just gonna poke my head in and see if I can see anybody. If you
some
hear, yeah, possibly closer rather than further away.
I shall stop taking stock, make note of where I am, draw my handheld railgun, I forget what it's called, and advance in Drut's direction.
Okay.
Okay.
Accelerator pistol, that's the one.
Yes, that's right. You have an accelerator pistol there.
Oh god. This is going to be awkward. It's really going to be awkward. I'm going to do something.
Yes, by the way, there are vines in there.
Yeah. This is going to be me doing something I have specifically said to people not to do.
You're not going to
Put
de-suit,
your
are
hands
you?
into the binds.
Well, shouting through the suit visor is going to be tricky. I don't know how sound carries. I mean, at least there's atmosphere.
I think there must be a device on our heads to put the voice to outside, like speakers.
Oh, hello, you suddenly got ever so loud there.
Yes, you did.
He found the speakers, you see,
Yeah.
on the suit, that's why.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, is there a broadcast button? I am willing to use...
The suits aren't, they're not audio sealed, so when you talk, it may be a bit muffled because you've got a helmet on, but it comes out as normal. There's no system for amplification or anything, only for transmission.
Okay. In that case, I will leave my suit helmet sealed for now.
These are spacesuits, aren't they?
They are.
These are indeed.
How can something be heard outside the suit if the air is not getting out?
Because the suit
Vibration
itself will
through the
vibrate,
yeah.
and that then will vibrate the air outside. If you're in a vacuum, it obviously doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when you have to do the helmet-to-helmet thing.
Yeah, that's true.
I was about to say the tactic used by astronauts if they're not using radio communication in real life is to put
Helmet
the
to
helmet
helmet.
together so that the vibrations travel through.
Yep. Point taken.
Yep. I feel a bit wrong explaining vibrations to a drummer.
Yes, that seems wrong.
But yeah, right. I am going to louder than I would otherwise, and apologies to the other two, because of course this is going to be coming over their radios.
But we can't exactly pull our headphones away.
Yeah, you might want to dampen the sound a little. There's a
Mute Zeynep.
hello. Is there someone there?
Unmute
I won't
Zeynep.
hurt you.
As you...
In as simple language as I can, because I need it to... This is possibly
Which
someone who's
simple
descended.
language?
It's going to be Debrani.
Presumably Debari.
It's got to be Debari, yeah. Because if this is somebody who's from a descendant, possibly, of the original crew, that's going to be...
The station has had no contact with the rest of the Davern system since the days of the Portal Wars.
Yeah.
It had no contact with Trinidians, and therefore the language is. So it makes sense that you would.
Yeah.
Don't forget though, there is a spaceship from our time that is docked here. It could be
This is
someone
true.
from that.
If it's someone from that station,
Yeah.
even then, if it's someone from that ship, they will either speak or recognise Debari.
Yeah.
The ship came from a Debari research institute, so there's a good likelihood that it's Debari.
So
Right.
yeah,
You say
I'm
that as you're
pointedly
listening, they
going to
respond.
holster my stun gun.
As you're listening for a response, you do hear something, but it's not the reply you were hoping for. To your right, and deeper in amongst the vines, concealed where you can't see it from here, even if you weren't actually looking behind the
Okay.
backs at the moment, which you are,
Uh-huh.
you hear what sounds like metal hitting metal.
Oh.
Not so much something being struck as maybe something being knocked off a table.
Okay.
And that sound echoes through the whole lab. Everybody
Okay, backing up a bit. Away from the noise. And unholstering my stun gun again.
What was that? Zeynep,
I-
what did you wake up?
I don't know. But I now have a vision of vines holding knives.
Well, that's a comfortable thought.
Yeah.
I'll get back to what I was doing.
Oh, good. Yes, yes. You feel free to carry on with that. That's a worthwhile task. I think that's going to be very useful in the imminent future.
Meanwhile, Shahad, in addition to the message in that email program, primarily what this terminal appears to have access to is an awful lot of files collated into a sort of a database. None of it means anything to you. It
Yeah.
might mean something to Zeynep, but there's a lot of scientific research on this.
Awesome.
Since the system doesn't seem to be affected by vines by now, at least, I will attempt to actually link it up with my portable computer and start copying the necessary
The problem
things
you've got
that...
there is that you're using the battery from your portable computer to power the terminal. However, I'm going to assume you probably have the equivalent of a USB stick that you can copy things onto, and then go back to the other computer at a later date.
Yes.
For the moment, you're file copying to an external source, an external storage device.
And if I have to plug in my iPod or whatever the equivalent is, it has a storage device.
Well, this being a space, some sort of a...
And I'm actually looking for floor plans.
It will no doubt be compatible with the Mac. We know this because we've been
Good old Independence Day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great, they all use
Right.
Mac OS.
So yeah, that's where we are at the moment. The noise has been heard. Files are copying. What are you guys doing?
I'm looking for floor plans. Maybe there is like a database for everybody to access, like a wiki. Like
So
what to
that
do in
one,
emergency? Where are
Yeah.
we?
I'm
Yes.
Where
going
does
to
everybody
ask
go?
for a data gen roll on that, I think.
Assembly
sure.
points, yes.
There is one, two.
Two
Woohoo!
successes. Okay, with a few key presses, starting from the point of view of emergency procedures, you can indeed find first the assembly points, and then from the assembly points, you can pull up a not very detailed plan of the station. It's not actually showing corridors and rooms and things like that. It's showing areas of the station and the connections between them.
Mm-hmm.
So it confirms what you've heard, what you've read on the signs. You're in the laboratory section here. The biodome is up ahead. The living area should be bigger than it is now, but has had bits blown off it at some point in the past. That's the area that where you've seen the explosive damage. Most of, if you head south, heading down through the station, most of the area down there is engineering, and is the gubbins that keeps the thing working. There are a number of elevators which run up and down to biodome and engineering, and there is one corridor which actually slopes up and ramps from the living area to the biodome.
Okay, I'm making a couple of screenshots on my helmet, click,
Yeah.
or whatever
problem.
the
Cool.
or for the inside on my. So I have those floor plans stored inside my helmet. If I need to trigger them, blink.
Yep, that's fine. You shouldn't get lost now, because that should be just enough, not to give you specifics of where you are, but to give you good ideas as to where you need to go to find what you're looking for, including the ways up and down and where the airlocks are.
Then as far as emergency plans go, is there anything in the system stored about when the damage happened that we saw from the outside of the station? Emergency logs.
There may be. There's nothing in no kind of emergency logs here, unfortunately. All you've managed to find are policies. It's the information for users. So maybe somewhere there are some logs, perhaps in
Engineering, I guess.
Yeah, it must be engineering, because there's no command section labeled. So if it's not in the lab, then that implies that everything like that would be handled from engineering.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good.
Well, the good news, the plants can't use tech. The bad news, we can't either. Because the relevant systems to power the station are really not linked to these ones. These are purely scientific. I'm getting the files as we speak.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Wonderful. The news that they can't type is actually quite nice.
Yep, they can't send us messages, so that's a relief.
Of course they can't type. They're not even animals. It's a plant.
I've seen a thing from another world.
It's just doing what plants do. It's growing.
In very specific ways. Very different ways depending on its environment. It's extremely adaptive.
Well, it's a survivalist plant, and they wanted to see if they can reverse the ecological drama on the planet, so...
Right. How am I
it's versatile.
fixed for telling where this noise came from?
Okay, it's deeper among the vines. So you know roughly where it came from, but you can't see it from where you are.
Is this where we start playing something like Tiptoe Through the Tulips?
Could be.
Through the nasties.
What
Tiptoe
you
through
need
the
is a
Triffids.
machete and a couple of native bearers.
Yes. No, I'm sticking with Ray Mears and a
Sorry,
machete.
we're not playing Falkenstein.
Yeah. I'm sticking with Ray Mears, who would weave this into a bower and then build a house around it out of wood. Right. Okay, I am going to head in cautiously, and yes, with my gun out again, into the vines to try and isolate where this noise came from.
I'm continuing to try and find something I can make a flamethrower with, because I think it's going to be really useful.
I think it's going to be very useful soon. However, I'm thinking...
another system, I would be asking for search rolls.
Yeah.
For that. But with this one, that's not the way it works. The way I'm trying to get a handle around and not making rolls in my head is I'm thinking in terms of, if in D20 you could take 10 on it, then I don't need you to roll.
Right, okay.
So you're only really rolling for the stressful stuff, really.
I'm stressed.
Unless there's something specific that I think deserves a die.
Yeah. I'm
So
stressed.
what you're doing here is not going to be a thing that you roll for. Instead of rolling to see what the result was, I'm going to ask you to roll... I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide in my head how long it takes to search through these and find what you need.
Okay.
And then ask you to roll wits, because that seems the most suitable attribute for searching speedily. And for each, there's no penalty for failure here, but for each 6 that you get, I
get
will
it faster.
reduce the time that it takes. Well, no, this is night I'm talking to now for
right.
searching.
Oh, okay, sorry, he's
Sorry, I
searching
thought
for
you were
that.
talking through Drat, sorry.
Sorry.
No, sorry, this is handling your search
Sorry.
still for
Right.
stuff you can jerry-rig.
So,
Flamethrower.
So if you make a wits roll, and for each success, I will reduce the amount of time it takes you to find things. But you will find everything that there is to find, because there's no reason why you shouldn't, really. It's all there in the cupboard. You either look or you don't.
come on, dice.
E, take all,
Yep.
close.
There is one. Okay. So, by this point, I'm going to say you've searched about half of the storage spaces in the room, and you're building up a nice little list of non-specific useful tools, which I will use to determine the likelihood of your being able to create any specific thing like the flamethrower. So at the moment, with having searched half of it, I am going to say you've got about a 30% chance of having the pieces to construct a flamethrower here.
Okay.
If you search the rest, finish off searching the rest of it, which is going to take you another 5 or 6 minutes, I'll put that up to a 60% chance that you can build a flamethrower.
Yep, I will take the 5 or 6 minutes to continue searching.
Okay, so you continue searching, and you push forward.
Right.
You're moving into darkness. Even the emergency lighting isn't penetrating here, because the bulbs on the ceiling are overgrown entirely with vines.
Fantastic.
So the only light you have is the 2 small torches on either side of your helmet, illuminating directly where you're looking. The impression you get is essentially as if you're moving through a tunnel. You have no peripheral vision. You can only see directly ahead of you.
Oh,
What you do have on the periphery is other sensations. You can feel the vines as you're pushing through them, currently dormant, but you know that some of them.
Oh, no.
That's not freaky at all. I'm glad I'm where I am and not where you are.
Yeah. Excellent.
As you push through, you find you make your way to the other end of the piece of racking that had been pushed away from you. And there you find what looks almost like a gurney. It's a wheeled table that contains various devices, scalpels, things like that, tools that have obviously been used in the laboratory. Lying on the floor next to it is one of the larger tools. It's not actually, but the best description I can give of it is almost like a bone saw used in surgery. But it's not actually a bone saw. That's not its function, but it's that kind of size and shape approximately. Metal construction, and it's lying on the decking next to the trolley.
And it's edged.
Well, yes.
Right.
Clearly that fell off and made the noise.
Yeah, so something or somebody knocked this trolley.
Either they knocked it off the trolley or possibly just dropped it. You're assuming it fell off the trolley because of its position next to the trolley. But it could just as easily be that someone was holding it, bumped into the trolley, and lost their grip on it.
Is it on the trolley? The answer is no. I
Dropped off, it's ours.
Yeah, there's a trolley with instruments and tools on here.
Test tubes and things like that.
Test tubes.
There's
scalpels.
what looks like a form of microscope, but the lenses on it are broken.
Okay, it's pretty damaged. Something's either fallen from it or fallen from somebody next to it. I'm going to retrieve the not a bone saw.
Okay.
Because
When
I
you
have
say
no edged
somebody next
weapon.
to it, do you have signs of a person?
Not at the moment directly, unless we think the vines were trying to pick up knives.
Circumstantial evidence of a person.
Well, we did it to the vine, so...
Circumstantial people.
Yeah, I didn't need you to vocalize that one, thank you, Shihad. I was thinking it, I didn't need you to say it.
Oh shit, we're doomed. Right. Yeah, I am retrieving the larger tool. Just because I don't have anything edged and I would like something I feel a bit more viney.
You're not really familiar with what it is and how it's used, but your best guess is that it was in some way used for taking samples of larger objects, possibly taking branches or sections out of a trunk of something for analysis.
It's the apple core of doom.
It could be the apple core.
Dimensional weapon set. Okay. Either way, I'd rather be holding it than have it on the floor and not in my possession. Maybe that's just me. Hello, tentacle.
Yep.
Is that a tentacle or is that a vine?
Oh, great. Thanks. I wasn't thinking that, but cheers. You're Pippin live role playing vines. Dye him green, see what happens.
Would you like that, Pippin? I don't think you would you?
Okay. I'm going to call out again. We're here to help. We can help you. Help you leave.
No response.
Right. This is where we find out they're actually all plant zombies. Each with a
That's
tendril.
with them in D&D.
Yeah. If you ever want a nice night in a hot air, never read the Brian Aldiss novel Hot House. This is giving me severe echoes of. Everything is plants. It's horrible.
What are you going to do? The other two are performing long actions.
Yeah.
While copying and searching. So
I
unless you want to just go back and stand next to them holding your gun and feeling nervous, it's all on you.
I'm going to gather any tools
pressure.
that look like they might be useful to us off this trolley.
Okay. Well, there are a couple of scalpels they might
Yeah.
be handy.
Yeah, we don't really have much in the way of precision gear because it's all the technological stuff. So it's more along the lines of screwdrivers, things like that.
Are you vocalising this? Because I'm fairly
Yeah.
certain that we can talk while working through our
Yeah.
long tasks.
Oh yes,
Yes.
you can indeed.
I if nothing else, I'd quite like to keep the patter up because I want to make it clear that I'm not dead yet.
Okay, well, if there's anything there that can contain a liquid, then maybe there might be some
Oh,
There were
liquids
test
around the
tubes,
lab
I
that
did say.
Yeah.
you could use as grenades of sorts.
excellent. Test tube
And
grenades,
if-
down with that.
Anything that might keep the plants thinking twice about getting close to us.
Okay. We like that idea. I'd prefer the plants not be that close to us, or to me. Quite as close as they are.
Also check the drummers. Maybe there's a bottle of rum.
True.
Scientists always pull long evenings, so I'm assuming they must do something while waiting for test results.
Right. Okay then. Yeah, I will gather everything up. I take it I couldn't really maneuver this trolley back.
Yeah, you could. It might be a bit awkward getting it through the vines. But it's
yeah,
not
I will do
held
that.
in place in any way.
Yeah, I will do that then. And if nothing else, I want to know what's behind the trolley. So I'm going to pull it up towards me and
Okay.
try and maneuver around it so I can push it.
You can't really see what is behind it so much. What you've got here at the moment is primarily vines hanging from the ceiling. It's not so
Yeah.
much overgrown from beneath, so the trolley is not held in place. But there's a lot here hanging from the ceiling, and as a result, without moving them, you physically can't see more than a few centimeters into the vines, because without X-ray vision,
Yeah.
it just can't be done.
Okay, I'm going to move the trolley past me then. So
Okay.
it's behind me, back the way I came. And then I'm going to do something possibly monstrously stupid and not narrating this bit.
Okay.
I'm going to reach out to one of the hanging knot vines
Yeah.
and I'm going to give it a firm pull.
Oh, you're basically ringing the bell.
How firm?
Probably about right. Bell pull.
Bell pull firm. Okay.
I'm not throwing my entire weight against it to try and rip it down. I just want to see if it's secured, and if so, how
It
strongly.
does feel quite solidly secured, yes.
What's the ceiling like, apart from viney?
Hard to tell. It's viney. The ceiling here is as of the floors in the corridors that you came through to get here.
Right.
The vines are growing all over something.
You could. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, the vines are growing all over something up on the ceiling. Logically, not just growing into what is presumably a metal ceiling. From where you are at the moment, you can't really see the ceiling. You could ask one of the others to look at one of the clear sections.
I'm just thinking the vines must have grown down from somewhere, and I'm just wondering if there are openings in the ceiling above me. How high are the ceilings in this room?
Ceilings in this room, a little over 2 meters.
So not a big
So
ask.
quite low.
Yeah. What are the odds of me being able to climb a vine? Well, liana is, I think, it's
Think it is,
correct.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're not sure that they're firm enough to take your weight. The distance isn't very far,
Yeah.
so, I mean, really, to be honest, you can reach up and touch the vines on the ceiling.
I'm not sure this is my best idea.
Do you not have a
But we're
gurney that you
anxious
can
to find
stand on
out.
to get the extra height?
I think Neo's having a turn in your chat. I do indeed. There is a trolley here, and if the floor has any vines on it as well, that's going to actually stabilise
There are
the
a few
wheels.
lines stretching across the floor, but it's not the big covering.
No,
Um,
but I could basically wedge it against the vines to stabilise it slightly and stop it wheeling out from underneath me.
yeah, you could try that. You want to try that?
Yeah. Now I
Okay.
am narrating. I'm just going to have a look at the ceiling, but if you hear a crash, I may need some help.
Turn back and
Right.
to manoeuvre the gurney, the table,
Uh-huh.
the trolley, whatever you want to call it, into position to do this, and are surprised to find that it doesn't move.
Oh, apparently the plants don't want me to do that. I'm taking the look at the floor. I'm guessing there are tendrils around the wheels.
Two of the vines that stretched across the floor, just meandering, are no longer meandering. They now, each of them, loop around the wheel of
Oh, jeez.
the trolley and then move on. You're not even sure quite how they did that, because without the end of the vine there, how it formed the loop around that, without either lifting the trolley off the ground, is the only way really it could be done. But you didn't notice that while you were looking at anything else. So if it did it quite subtly.
Suddenly, vines wielding knives is less of a reach. Okay then, fine. They can have the trolley. I am indeed gathering up anything that looks even vaguely sharp.
They just trying to save you, you know? They're putting away the sharp knives, don't climb the trolley. Mm-mm.
I'm very disappointed because we're playing this over a virtual tabletop, not
Yeah.
in person. Because if we were in person, what I would do now is walk around the table to where you are sitting. As you're gathering things up, you feel something on your shoulder, like a hand.
Who?
Oh,
Everybody?
Just saying it.
Just saying it. Okay. Is she screaming?
Oh no!
It's possible.
God, this is going to be so embarrassing.
What does she need to roll for screaming?
It's not the screaming that's going to be embarrassing, it's potentially killing somebody. Because
You're not going to kill someone by using a stun gun or punching him in the face.
I'm holding sharp pointy things.
Oh god.
That's
But
what I'm
they-
thinking.
Scalpels usually are in sheaths, so
Oh,
you pull
you
them
would
out
think.
first before you stab somebody.
Oh, you sweet person. If there is a way for this to go horribly wrong, Fishy will find it.
Fishy has the darkness dice.
He does.
He's got one less than he had, though.
I thought that might be the case.
Just mentioning
Yeah.
in passing, you know.
Unfortunately, Zainab is keyed up and nervous and surrounded by vines that have their own motile force. I am in no fit state. Also, I can't fight. To be subtle about this. So I don't have time to check whether it's a person or whether it's a vine that's about to start snaking its way down my chest and hang me. Not that I'm thinking in those terms. Yeah, I'm going to spin round and strike with whatever I am holding in my right hand.
Okay.
And with the aim of whatever it is can do one, and then I'm going in the other direction.
Right, well.
Oh, we won't hurt you.
We won't hurt you unless you're actually there.
Yeah. Don't creep up on me.
You whirl on the spot.
Mm-hmm. This is not going to earn me hero
And
points.
lash out
Yeah.
with your. I'm going to assume it's the sample collecting device that's got a
Yeah.
pointy bit and a blade on it, and you specifically picked it up.
I did, yeah.
So I'm going to assume that that is what you have in your hand.
Yep.
Well,
Oh dear. Oh, going to
it
accidentally.
fails to make contact with anything at all.
Okay.
Your hand simply brushes through a half a dozen vines that appear to be clustered together behind you. Clustered together where you were standing only a couple of minutes ago that was clear at the time.
Turning and leaving.
Now,
That flamethrower, how's it coming along? Yeah. How's it coming along?
To work out how these things
Oh God. I'm plant food. Just call me Baby Bio. Now
Sorry
there's a
about
shadow runner.
Spot the fact that this is our first game of this.
Yeah.
Or from Shihad there is. Well, I'm reading a spike in your vital signs. You seem healthy.
Yes, adrenaline, isn't it wonderful?
That's what that number is, Josh. Right, I think, I'm going to go with, since that doesn't tell me how many darkness points it costs. It says 1 to 3, and I can't find anything to tell me what the different numbers.
Oh dear.
I'm going to say that it's down to the circumstances, that the more stressful the situation, so shall we say, the less darkness points it costs.
You
So
say
I'm going to give this a
can't
2.
do
I'm
horror.
going to spend 2 of my darkness points, and I'm going to roll a d6. I'm going to roll it on fantasy grounds.
Okay. No,
Oh,
not that
shadow
we can
dice.
see.
Oh, I forgot it defaults to hiding that. Okay, well, it's
Babylon.
it won't be
5
on the screen,
shadows.
in fact, because it's hidden from that as well. Okay, well, I rolled a 5.
Is that good?
Okay.
Okay.
You rolled a 5. That's fine.
That must be good. We're all getting presents.
Yes, gift wrapped. Me.
As the thought that the vines seem to be closing in on you, that they may have the ability to manipulate objects, that they may have tried to pick up the very pointy thing you have in your hand now, earlier on.
Yep.
As this information washes over you, it all becomes just too much.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Sand check.
There are no sand checks in this game, but there
Yeah.
are dark manias.
Oh, shit.
You are currently suffering from waking sleep.
Okay.
The PC sits apathetic, just staring at the wall. She does nothing and stops eating. Effectively, you have basically just gone
It's catatonic, isn't it?
catatonic.
Okay.
You're standing surrounded by vines, probably shaking, possibly whimpering a little,
Vapor locked.
unable to make yourself actually move.
Essentially, me
Definitely
confronted.
another spike in your vital signs.
Essentially, it's me confronted by any very, very large spider in my bedroom,
Yes, isn't it?
standing there going "Uke," which you've seen, of course.
I'm going to get up from my desk, leave the data be as it is. I don't know, how far is the copying process? Like 70, 80%?
Speak to me,
Yeah.
Zainab.
It's about 80% of the way through now. It's nearly finished.
Uke.
Okay.
You've literally only got a couple of cupboards you haven't looked in, Knight.
Uke.
Zainab, talk to me.
Zainab has gone dark.
Uke.
And from where either of you are, you can't see her. She went in among the vines.
Mind the oranges, Marlon. That's where I am at the moment. Crazy Chrissy being shown the student films. Yuck. Zainab's not here right now, if you care to leave a message.
Yeah.
I'm going to clear the
I'll be
room
moving
Is
out
the-
of my
to find her.
office.
You've got about a 50% chance of having the pieces for a flamethrower now.
50%.
Yeah, you can just burn the room and then find her in what's left.
Yeah, thanks for that.
We'll
Cheers.
bring her ashes home.
Well, I'll make a note of where I've got into my search and go looking for Zainab.
Yeah. Okay. So as I described to Drat earlier on, as you move into this area, because of the density of vines and the fact that they are coming down from the ceiling, there is no emergency lighting, and you are just dependent on the lights from your suit.
Yay.
The vines almost feel as if they're resisting. Zainab seemed to move easily into the vines when she first went in there, but you're having to push your way through. You can do it. There's no need to roll dice or anything, but it's a little bit of an effort to actually push past the vines to try and get in and follow her. Now, I really am.
Oh, thanks. Now I really feel good about the situation.
Although the vines do feel as if they're trying to hold you back or keep you out, they don't have the strength to do it. They are definitely, the further you get in, the more you are determined that yes, they are definitely actually pushing you, but they don't have the strength or the leverage to be able to actually stop you. And you fairly quickly, following the sound of panicked breathing, can locate Zainab.
Zainab, I shall circle around so that I'm face to face with her so that I don't spook her with a hand on her shoulder. Although I don't know that's what's happened, I don't want to spook her any further than she already is. Zainab?
If she's unresponsive, just pull her
Take my
out.
hand, we're
She
leaving.
is fairly unresponsive, yeah.
Okay, is she capable of doing the sleepwalker thing with pressure?
Yeah, she can be, you can sort of, she won't resist particularly if you want to move her around.
Okay.
I'm going to, because I haven't found a rule that tells me how it would work one way or another, I'm going to rule that recovery from this is the same as recovery from stress, which is what reduces your mind.
Okay.
For starters, however, the fact that this is happening at all, I am going to do 2 mind points of damage to you, Kurt. Mind points don't do, like hit points, they don't do anything until you hit 0.
Okay.
In this game, the 2 ways you get taken out of a fight are your hit points hit 0 or your mind points hit 0. At mind 0, you suffer a breakdown.
Okay.
Which is very like what you're doing now, but what you're doing now is a mania rather than a breakdown. It's a different mechanic for a similar effect.
It's basically temporary insanity versus permanent insanity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For physical damage, out of interest, losing all your hit points doesn't kill you, and once you hit 0, you can take as much further damage as you want, and you will never go any lower. The only thing that kills you in this game is critical damage.
Makes sense.
I may find myself house ruling in something or doing critical wounds once you hit 0, because otherwise you can be completely incapacitated and your opponents still keep rolling and failing to get enough 6s to do critical damage to you. So effectively, you can repeatedly shoot someone in the head and not kill them in this game if you roll badly.
There's no temporary mind or hit points boxes, so I'm just going to have to edit the basic ones.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's alright.
Shihad will
checking.
kind of chime into the whole situation with...
I should be pushing
Oh, no, I won't.
Zainab out through the...
So
Slightly
well,
resisting.
probably it's calculated damage.
I'll stick it in notes, don't worry. No, I won't.
Okay.
I will put it somewhere. I'll put it in the attacks. I'm not using those at the moment.
While Farouk is pulling her out, Shihad will start by saying, Zainab, listen to my voice. And furthermore, he will go then into like talking from meditation sense, because he is a schooled courtesan and he knows relaxation techniques.
Okay.
And he will try to apply something like that to guide her softly back
that
into
will
the
be
here
a
and now.
manipulation roll.
Yay.
That's
what manipulation is all about. And this is
Okay.
usually
and there is a
Yay.
6.
Yay.
Okay. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to let that restore one of your mind points.
Okay.
Because effectively you're getting on-the-spot therapy there.
Yeah.
So one of your mind points will recover.
He's a useful person.
And I'm going to kind of halve the effect of your mania.
How
So
useful.
you're no longer completely catatonic.
Nice one. Okay.
But you are somewhat non-responsive.
Okay.
Monosyllables only, and mostly withdrawn, but not completely out of it anymore. And then that will fade off over time.
Okay. Sorry, hang on. Sorry, I just had an eyelash fall into my eye. Oh, apparently somebody shot me in the face. Which is
It's
what
the
it
vines,
feels like.
don't worry.
Yeah, oh, thanks.
Let's hope it wasn't the latter, shall we?
Yeah.
So you are able, again, it requires effort because you've got to not only push yourself through the vines now, you've also got to pull Zainab.
Mm-hmm.
Even after she begins to recover,
Yeah.
while Shahad is saying soothing things and talking her through it as you're pulling her out of the vines, you're having to pull both of you through these vines. It is fortunate that the vines aren't stronger, or perhaps that they aren't better anchored. Because while it's an effort, you can manage to get through without too much trouble and find yourself back in a more open area, back outside of the main lab where you were doing your searching before. However,
Oh boy.
as you are turning around to see how Zainab is, you have a clear view over her shoulder back where you have just come from. And you definitely see a humanoid form. Maybe 6 feet tall. You're not sure whether it's made of vine, whether it's wearing vine, or whether perhaps it's overgrown with vine, because you don't see it for very long. But you definitely see something humanoid, not entirely plant, because you see what looks like skin tone, though slightly greyish, but covered in leaves, smaller leaves. And it's holding the vines aside, looking through them, similarly to the way you had to move through them. But as you see it, the hand moves back and the vines fall back in front, obscuring your vision. This time you are certain of what you've seen.
Swamp Thing in
And-
space.
I would like you to make a...
God.
I'm going to call
Did you
this
get a roll?
an empathy check. Just straight empathy.
Oh god.
Not your favourite, huh?
I'm as empathic as I am strong.
Hang in there.
Oh boy.
However,
You got a success. That's
Sublime
all
to
you
the
needed was one
ridiculous.
success. Had you got no successes, you'd have taken a point of stress from that and have lost a mind point. But as it is, you're ready for this. You knew there was something out there, and this just confirms it.
I watched Doctor Who as a kid. That's what this is.
It's crinoids. If I recall correctly. I'm sad. So I'm still having my little turn.
She
really,
has?
aren't
Still
I?
having your little turn.
Yes. Okay.
There's something humanoid in with the vines.
Okay. What do you want me to do? Close the door faster? Hold
Hopefully,
it.
tell me you found something that ties up with that in the notes in there.
No, because I can't read scientist.
We need you. We need Zaynep for that.
Yep, she is
Yeah,
the plant
unfortunately,
scientist
no.
of us. And archaeologist and whatever.
Yeah, I do
can-
science. Science
I
with an
can
exclamation
dance on the plants if you want to. I can.
Right. What
It's
you
the
can
same
also do
movements.
is talk sense to Zaynep. So once you finish, I'm going to sit her down here. Once you finished what you're doing, try and bring her back to us. I have work to do.
You know that
Fine.
burning concept.
I'm bringing her to the office, taking her over from me. Offer her a seat in the office as far as her suit allows to seat herself.
Okay.
And then keep influencing her positively and not talking about greenery.
Nice, safe, artificial environment.
Imagine this cube. Now the cube has 20 sides and there is a 20 on it and it's just glowing in your face. You know it's success.
You realise she's going to come out of this and say, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Okay, so, yeah. Presumably you're going to finish searching the last couple of cupboards.
I am.
Okay. So I will swap to the viewer fantasy rounds now, so that people can actually see what I roll. And I'm going to make that percentile roll, see whether you've got all the pieces you need to make a primitive flamethrower. You have a 60% chance.
Yay! No, fish.
Ooh. Don't blame me. I didn't roll it. Well, I did, but
90, did you just roll 93?
that was a 93, which is not 60 or less than last time.
Oh,
At least it doesn't mean it explodes in his face, right? Right?
No,
Just
that
has
basically
the
means
bits.
you start collecting together the pieces. You find a suitable container. You find something, a lighter that you can use as an ignition source. You even find something that looks like it will work as a pump, a simple pump, although you'll have to work it manually rather than having it motorized. Unfortunately, you just haven't found any tubing to actually carry the fuel from one to the other. You're missing that one key component, and if you can find it somewhere, you can make a flamethrower.
This is a lab, right?
Yep.
Do they not have sinks? Is there not a
Maybe.
plumbing system?
You haven't seen one at the moment. It might be in there in the
Dang.
vines.
Oh God.
That's because
Tubing,
that's the
tubing,
research room.
At a push, even the bloody gurney would have been fine because the legs would have been tubes.
Yeah, probably.
Feeding systems going to the plant cylinders.
Yes, there's probably
Yeah.
all sorts of tubes connected to that. In
And let
there.
me guess, that's
Isn't
the other
there?
Yeah, thanks.
That's all in the main lab. There are cylinders, all not entirely in the open, but mostly in the open. You don't know how much movement the vines have got. They might, because they're quite long, so they might be able to reach you. But you won't have to actually go into the vines to examine those cylinders.
Amongst the cleaning stuff that I'm sure I would have seen in some of the cupboards,
Yeah,
was there an aerosol?
no. Aerosols are very dangerous on space stations. They blow holes in things if it goes wrong.
Probably wouldn't want to try that with the pressurised oxygen cylinders either.
See, now, until you said that, I wasn't thinking of that.
See what I typed in the hint place chat. If there's a way to get into trouble, I will find it. My life is one big what does this button do?
Okay. I'm going to grab one of the oxygen cylinders.
I must apologise for a mistake earlier on.
Uh-oh.
There's one section of the station that I didn't mention when Shahad pulled up the emergency plans. And it really would have been on there. Clearly labelled on the emergency plans is a med lab.
Bingo.
It is... where? It's got a numerical reference in the overview of the station.
No wonder you didn't
But
find
it's
it.
not marked on the map.
We
Nice
forgive
one,
you.
guys.
Yeah.
Okay, under the circumstances, I am going to put it down from the laboratory to roughly level with the large array macro sensor. So, to the left of the big unexplained black concentric circles in the middle of the station.
Also, if Farouk keeps mumbling that he has missing parts to build his flamethrower, I can offer up. So, there is a med bay close by
Good.
where we could find additional whatever it is that you need to build, whatever it is that you're
You've gotta
building. What
get
are you
there.
building?
We've got to get there first. To be fair, if all I'm missing is tubing, I think I can find it here. Excuse me a second. I'm going to grab one of the air canisters. And something large and stabby. And the lighter.
Okay. You've got a lighter, something large and stabby, and an air canister.
Actually, better yet, something heavy and blunt. That I could use to knock a valve off with.
Sensible.
Mm-hmm.
Well, less unsensible than the stabby.
I'm going to walk slightly towards where the vines are. And
Okay.
and I will speak loudly. I don't know who you are, but I know you're there. I saw you. Now I just want to recover one thing from behind your vines. I would like to do it unmolested. Would you kindly move them away, please?
Nothing happens, but there's no movement towards you either.
This is an oxygen canister. One step forward. This is a lighter. One step forward. If the two meet, it goes boom. There is a lot of fire for everyone. I don't want to do this. Another step forward.
Is he trying to intimidate a
No
plant?
reaction so far.
Excellent.
I shall keep going. One step at a time. When I reach the
Wow.
vines, is there any signs of them?
Are you going specifically for the vines, or are you
I'm going
checking out
specifically.
the containers? You're going for the gurney, aren't you?
I'm going for the gurney.
Trolley, aren't you? Yeah. Okay. You reach the vines. There has been no specific response as yet.
One step into the vines. Hands a lot closer now, so that I can do this if they start grabbing me.
Okay, they're not grabbing you. They are still resisting, like they did before. You're having to push your way through, but neither
I'm
more
asking you
nor
nicely.
less than when you did it last time.
Please, let me through. I don't want to hurt you. We are just here to find out what happened to the crew of the other ship.
Although it's giving resistance, it's not physically stopping you. You can push through.
Okay. Get to the gurney.
Okay, you find it. It's still got a couple of vines wrapped around two of its wheels.
It's the gurney that I want. Please release it.
Nothing happens.
Light the lighter.
Okay, when you light the lighter, you do see a reaction. The nearest vines, the others, whatever, to you almost seem to shudder, and they shift slightly further away from you.
I then turn off the lighter again. I do not want to do this, but I want the gurney. Please let me take it away. Neither of us need to get hurt here.
No response.
Still no movement.
No.
The valve has like a
About?
yeah. Thank you. So I could just start letting a little bit out at a time, couldn't I?
Yeah, you can do that. You just partially release it. It's got a manual.
Partially release it. There's a lot of oxygen coming out here now. Won't take much to cause a boom.
I don't think I've got a releasing oxygen sound effect.
You should have air leak.
I don't think I have. They obviously didn't think of that one. I can do explosions, but
No, that comes next.
yeah, that comes later. No, I definitely haven't. Unless I want to call it engine noise and turn it right down in the hope that the noise will sound like air. But I don't think that's going to work. So, what are you doing?
Waiting to see if there's any response to the rush of oxygen.
Nope.
Okay. Before I do this next thing, I'm going to explain the logic behind it.
Okay.
Okay.
Because the oxygen is going at a speed, rather than just being completely... It should blow itself out.
Rather
But
than
there should
in
be
your
a
direction.
plume rather than an explosion.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to hold the lighter open, I'm just going to literally spark it.
Just flick.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Literally, and I'm going to announce this to the plant as well. Plant, because I don't know what else to call you, I will call you Plant. This has to be a warning shot. I want the gurney. I don't want to hurt either of us to do it. You don't seem to be listening to me. Fumph.
Right. I think I'm going to make that a technology roll.
I thought
Yeah,
you
Because
might.
there isn't any other skill really that covers it.
What are the skills involved in anticipating plants? Anticipating and intimidating.
Oh, 1.
There's at least 1-6. Whew.
Oh, so I don't get to do this.
If you did, I could always flick to one of the other characters that's still in the ship.
This is true. Yeah, we have backups. Okay, so yeah, there is a brief. It's not a jet, but it's also not just like a cloud of flame. There is almost like a little mushroom of flame. It's just
Yeah.
there and gone.
Which is what I
Really
was aiming
quickly.
for.
The reaction from the plant life is greater this time. It does indeed move further back, and you hear a rustling at your feet and a couple of small thumps. The vines that were holding the gurney
Are now holding me.
they have shifted about 40 centimeters away from you, which means that to do so they have released the wheels of the trolley.
Thank you. Rest the canister on the trolley, so the hand that was holding it is now partially on the valve, partially on the grab handle. Other hand still free on the lighter, again on the trolley, but holding with the lighter, so that I've got the ability to reignite if I need to, and start dragging the gurney out.
Okie dokie.
Thank you very much. I apologise if that hurt you.
move out, the plants close back in again. But they don't actually make any threatening actions or come towards you.
Once I'm
very
clear,
quickly, you're back out in the lobby with a trolley.
once I'm clear, again, I'm facing the direction that I saw the humanoid form. Thank you. And then head back to where we were. That's now the rest of the bits I think I need.
Yeah, that will do. That will do nicely. I would like you to. I'd like you to make a technology roll in the GM, in the dice tower. I think you should be able to drag from the character sheet to the dice tower.
I think so.
No, I'm dragging the character sheet around. Oh, unless I drag the skill. No.
Let me see if I can figure it out.
That said,
okay, so it's 7d6. If you just want to throw 7d6s into the dice tower, and I'll work it out from there.
right, there isn't a thing for 7 custom dice. How do
Right,
custom
now,
dice work?
what you do, click on the d6, left click on the d6 and hold it, and then every time you right click, it will add 1 die. So just do that till you've got 7.
Aha! Right now,
And
and there's the dice
drop
tower.
that into the dice tower.
There you go.
Right.
Did you win?
So I now know whether or not this flamethrower will work.
Right.
A note here called Knight's Flamethrower,
Oh God.
The Night Thrower.
which will not be public.
The night throw would be a very, very different thing. It'd be more of a sort of human-sized catapult.
There we go. I can make that public when you use the flamethrower for the first time, and then you'll be able to see whether it works.
Yeah.
Yay.
Do we have a Zainab back?
By the time all this has been done, Zainab is pretty much back to herself.
Okay.
I might give you penalties on some actions for a little while as yet, but you can at least act again.
Okay, my files have been copied.
Yep, files have been copied, you've got the flamethrower. You're pretty much done with the lab now, unless you want to hunt down whatever's in the vines.
I've been trying to make nice with whatever's in the vines, despite setting fire to it because I didn't have a whole lot of option.
Tempting to hunt down what's in the vines, but no.
Now I've finished making the flamethrower. Was there anything else potentially of use on the gurney that I've now butchered to make some piping?
Pretty much everything that was of use on the gurney
Has been
had been gathered by Zainab, who,
Okay.
when things went wrong, she kind of dropped them all. So they're scattered across the floor in amongst the vines. The only thing she's still got is the sample tool, the not bone saw.
Yeah,
That was
that's
touched in her fist, and she hasn't. Only now is she finally beginning to release her grip.
I just guess she hasn't attacked me since.
no. You're not green.
What color is my suit now?
yeah, don't.
Yeah.
Just don't.
Oh, I don't like this place.
So let's leave.
That sounds like an excellent idea. Where are we going?
Back to our ship.
It's the safest route currently. We have files, at least from a scientific point of view. How much you can draw out of it, I think you can brood over those files once we're in a secure space and out of this suit, because I'm
We have
starting
information. We have eyewitness evidence of what happened.
to...
We can get back to the Nuzzles and feed that information back. Yes, the pay was double if we bring back the other ship or the scientist. We have neither. I suspect I spoke to the scientist.
Really? When did that happen?
when I was threatening the plants with a flamethrower.
Sorry, what?
Well, an oxygen bottle and a lighter.
That's insanely dangerous. Well done.
Yes. I didn't fight in a resistance war for nothing, you know.
As you're having this conversation, Shahad is the person most likely to notice it. So we'll say to Shahad, as this conversation is taking, see through the transparent walls that in the office, the terminal has just turned back on.
Well, that's curious. I thought I deactivated this.
You unplugged the power source from it.
I've seen Event
Yay.
Horizon. I'm a bit worried now.
I've seen Event Horizon. I was worried when we stepped aboard.
Nothing else here has activated. So if power has been fed to that terminal, it's been done specifically to that one terminal without anything else in the room regaining its power. It could be done, but requires some pretty fine control of the reactor systems.
Yes, because you need to be in engineering to power down to power up specific systems, and you need to know what you're doing. I'm going back in.
Green is... It's not showing the desktop. The screen is simply black with some white lighting in the center of the screen.
Yeah, I'm recording.
It says... Open it up and share it. It says, "And the messenger spoke, go forth and find the seed of the icons, the flower of heaven. With it you shall bring prosperity to your dying world and save the people from starvation and poverty."
Does that ring any bells in a cultural or historical context?
Do you want to make me a culture roll at
I
-2?
do.
One for it being obscure and one for still being a bit...
That's going to be wits,
Sounds-
isn't it? Sorry, sounds...
Sounds kind of like something from Gehenna might have said, back when they were desperately trying to save their land.
Yeah. Okay. That is 3 6s.
Wow.
I was rolling
Okay
s-
then.
Critical success.
I was rolling 6 dice. Even with the -2.
Only... Yeah, but you're looking for 6s here,
Yeah.
so...
Yeah, I've been rolling 7
you should
dice.
be rolling
I've only
18
one.
dice to get that.
Me.
Yeah.
Right. Not only does it sound familiar, you can actually pin it down entirely. It is not some... It may have been quoted by the Emir of Gehenna,
Yeah, it's older than... It's got a
Time.
feel of older than that.
but it is much older than that. It is a small small excerpt
It's a small expert. It's a very small Brian
of
Cox.
the writings of Suleiman the Elder, who is a very, very well-known historical, mythological figure.
Okay.
This particular section coming from something called the Seed of the Icons, which does indeed speak of the flower of heaven, this plant that is supposed to have been created by the icons and to be holy. The next line, because you got a critical success,
Right.
comes into your mind unbidden as you read this. And the next line is, "But beware, good pilgrim, there are specimens that have been tainted by the dark between the stars. These dark flowers bring not prosperity, but misery and death."
She's going to speak that quote aloud in response to what she's read.
And that's a comforting thought.
Yeah, isn't it though?
And I think I'm going to ask for an empathy roll from each of you at this point,
Okay.
because I'm using that to resist stress.
Great.
That's me screwed.
1 success.
Okay, so the two of you who did not get any successes will take a mind point of damage.
Oh great, I'm the stressed one and I'm the one who's worked through it.
Where is the mind point? go.
Right, there's at the moment there's no space for it, but what I've done on Druts is I've turned one of the unused sections on the character sheet into
Now I have twice the hit points.
Oh, did you?
current
Ah,
hit points.
I'll take your word for it.
Who up there?
oh, that's a clever use of this. And current mind points. Oh, I have magic points. Huh?
Yeah, I have magic points for it. Yeah. I did do that on today. Yeah, current HP, current MP.
It's not showing, but
Okay, that's weird. It's on your character sheet on my screen.
what section?
Underneath hit points and mind points.
In a combat.
section on
Oh, there
the-
we go. Yeah, sorry, my apologies. I was reading it wrong.
And then we'll do...
I'm actually on 7, not 6.
Because you got one back.
I got one back.
I don't
You
think I have
should be able to edit that. If you can't, though, I will.
Ah, there it is. I see it now. I'm sorry, I was looking for a tab called combat.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, so was I. That's where I was going wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking.
Oh,
for
there are
tab.
tabs.
Indeed.
There are tabs, yes.
Becky makes his spot check for the first time this evening.
I'm afraid to click anything because there's suddenly things popping up or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fishy click something and the text is gone. Blah!
Yeah, well, that was an interesting one. That yeah, so
Yeah.
hope that doesn't happen again.
Yeah. That
Hopefully.
Could, yeah, that
So
could
yeah,
not.
as I said, this is, I suppose, the equivalent of sand loss in
Mm-hmm.
Call of Cthulhu, except that it doesn't do anything until you hit 0, and then you have a bit of a breakdown. You can recover from that breakdown relatively simply. You can recover, in fact, relatively simply. You get a mind point back for each hour of rest. So if you just hole up somewhere and do nothing except worry a little bit, after an hour you'll get a mind point back as you begin to stabilize. However, if you do hit 0, recovery from 0 hits awkward. There is a chance when you recover from that you will take a permanent hit of 1 mind point in the process of recovery. And if you ever hit 0 maximum mind points, you go completely doolally and it's time to roll a new character.
Okay.
So it's not going to happen to you in a hurry. You're not going to go totally gaga in one scenario like in Call of Cthulhu. But over the course of a campaign, if the Dark Between the Stars is featuring heavily, it could happen.
I feel cool.
You can also take stress from a number of other situations. Critical injuries will often deliver stress as well. And also, there's the opposite of what Meki did earlier on. You can use the manipulation skill to
drive
induce
someone mad.
stress and do mind point damage to people.
Oh.
That is comforting.
Yeah.
Meki
You
just-
have to
entirely
tell
possible
them.
to intimidate people into madness.
Great. Now you've
Making
become a
can drive people
considerably
mad. Superb.
area person. Excellent.
Cool.
So, with that interesting revelation, and you guys deciding where to go and what to do next,
Yeah.
with running back to the ship being one possibility that has been suggested.
It's
Yeah, we
up there.
haven't found a toilet on board, so we need to go back.
I thought you said we watered
I
the
think-
plants.
I am going to call it for the evening there. Thank you for playing. I hope you're still enjoying this, and thank
Very
you
much so,
everybody
yeah.
who is watching for watching.